If you need a superhero, here I come. Now there I go. When you need me, you know how to let me know. All you gotta do is holler. If you need a superhero, 'cause I'ma hear you when you holler. When you need that superhero. Yeah, Gravita. When you need me, all you gotta do is holler. Not for real, I'ma hear you when you holler. I'll be right there in my cape, FSK below my collar. Oh, trouble want some trouble, well then I'm double, let's get it poppin'. I got some issues I've been dealing with, about to lose my scholarships. Friends, family, loved ones, so you know inside I'm sick. You may think you're tough, but you don't know what you're about to get. I let it build up, then feed you all of it. No apologies, this may hurt a bit.
Hey, and welcome back to session 2. If everybody that's tuned in right now, please do me a favor. This is what I was afraid of. Starting a new session, we lost all those people that were watching us. So please share it out as soon as you get a moment so we can get that audience back going in here. I'm about to not waste any more time. We're jumping right into our next one. Remember, the art auction is live in this post right now. The email landing site's there. The place you can get t-shirts is there. The place to get comics is there. The place to donate is there. And I'm also going to give you a reminder because guess what? That's a part of branding. Freestyle Komics. Thanks, Anonymous. I'm sorry, Jam. I'm sorry. I got to cut you off real quick. Don't mean to be rude. Brian Dalton just sent us a one-up, and I have to announce this because this is so dope. He said he'll knock off 1% for each $100 we raise for the event today at a max of 10%. So if you reach your goal of $1,000 a day, I will give the customer 10% off their orders in November. 10% is the max. But if you reach 800 today, he'll give 8% to anybody coming to give him prints. So, yeah, let's get. Hey, we just talked about Brian Dalton is a gem in the print industry for us indies, and he's giving out this discount. I didn't even ask him for this. I just said, come be on the show. He giving out discounts. Man, y'all better make it happen. All right, JM, it's all you, baby. I'm out.
All right. Thank you, Michael. And thank you, Brian, page by page printing. That's where I get my stuff printed at. So, all right, everybody. I am JM Hunter, your host, but thank you to Freestyle Komics for having me and having our guest. We are going to do a panel titled Hues That Matter. So basically, in regards to color representation in the world of comics. And we have an awesome set of panels here today. So let's just get to it. I'll go ahead and briefly introduce them, and then they can tell you more about themselves and what they have as far as their creative pursuits. So we'll start with Newton. Newton, if you wouldn't mind, tell people a little bit more about yourself and what is your claim to fame.
Hey guys, what's up? My name is Newton Lillevoix. I'm a comic book creator / writer. I'm known for Crescent City Monsters, which is a supernatural horror comic book, and I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Newton. And moving on to the real life Moana. I just posted some pictures of my daughter when she dressed up as that for her birthday, but back in the day. So anyways, Moana, can you tell people more about you and what you are currently producing?
Hi, everybody. My name is Moana McAdams, co-owner here at Burning Spirit Comics. I am a children's book author and an editor for our series, The Wildcard Chronicles. I also have a side project that I just started working on with Mike Watson. And I'm about to launch my podcast, the Moana News Podcast, where I get to celebrate and highlight creators of color and the historical stories that influence their work.
Okay, and then moving on to Morgan. Morgan, if you wouldn't mind telling everyone out there who you are and what you got, available to everybody out there.
What's up? My name is Morgan Iverson with Fourth Wall Productions and Short Fuse. My my claim to fame right now is Lumberjacks #1. With short that you can get at shortfusemediagroup.com. There's also a novel on Amazon called The Seventh and Last. That's like an origin novel for that comic. I'm working on getting the next comic out for my next series, Harlem's Renaissance. And yeah, you can find me on Facebook at Morgan Iverson or on Instagram and Twitter at The Lumberjacks. The E is replaced with a 3 though.
All right, awesome. And I'll just ask that the panelists mute their mics in between questions because some of you are furiously typing. I can hear it because it's no doubt your fan base is trying to reach out to you right now. So I want you to be able to still talk to them while you hang out with us too. So moving on to the person that should need no introduction, but we're going to introduce him anyways. And then he's going to do a better job of introducing himself because that is what he does, the hardest working man in comics, Victor Dandridge.
Hello, everybody. I'm Victor Dandridge, hardest working man in comics. As JM said, I am the mind behind Vantage and House Productions, a self-publishing imprint that just celebrated 10 years of full-time self-publishing last week. Once again, if I can do it, you can do it. But thank you all for having me on.
All right, awesome. And moving on to last but not least, one of my mentors. Still working on that last assignment. I did do the essay, but I'm doing the comic, which is funny because this comic that I'm doing is related to this actual topic that we're talking about. So the John Jennings, Mr. John Jennings, can you please tell everybody more about yourself and a few of your many projects?
Man, thank you for having me. It's been a crazy morning here on the West Coast. Again, my name is John Jennings. I'm a professor of media and cultural studies and comics. I'm also a publisher and curator, best known for the adaptation of Octavia Butler's Kindred with Damian Duffy from Abrams Books. Also, Parable of the Sword, which just came out. We just put up a new book with Amani Latif's amazing Peep Game comic called The Blues Man with Stuart Jaffe and Garrett Gainey. You can check that out right now. Let's see. I have a new book coming out with Nedia Corafor and the amazing David Brame in January, which is the first book of my new line of graphic novels called Megascope, Abrams Megascope. So that's just kind of like I also co-founded a few comic book conventions too. So I mean, this is yeah. I'm gonna keep it short, but this is great. Thank you for having me. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, one of those shows being SoulCon, which is which I'm happy to be a part of, along with Victor and several other people here. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's get to it. So basically, right now, Black and people of color and people of formerly marginalized groups are now considered a hot commodity. Right now it's good business for several entities, entertainment wise and content wise, but it was not always so. Prior to the current boom, one could say that proportionate representation in the world of comics wasn't always there. Specifically with black characters as well as characters of color. So I guess the first question to you all is, let's start with a little bit of a mainstream and then we'll pivot to the independent scene. But we'll go ahead and start with Newton. But the question to you all is, what was the first character of color that you remember, that you recall seeing? Newton, I'm gonna ask you to unmute real quick.
Sorry, that was a Zoom moment right there. Yeah, so the first comic book character I ever remember seeing was Power Man. And, you could tell by my age, I'm still calling Luke Cage Power Man. But yeah, that was the first character I remember seeing in comic books.
Okay, and who, show of hands, who else was that as far as the first character of color, Black character? Was Luke Cage Power Man? No? Okay, cool. All right. So let's move on to Moana.
For me, it was Storm in X-Men.
Nice, Storm. It's about to be Omega level mutant, finally. So in the current whatever, crossover, something of swords. I don't know. Give everyone a sword and all of a sudden they're a badass. Okay, moving on to Victor. Victor, who do you recall was the first that you saw?
So the first person that I recall seeing as a person of color, I still don't know how to say their name correctly. It's either Blood Wind or Blood Wind. He was an alternative form of Martian Manhunter as part of the Justice League, but I've never heard his name actually said. But it's spelled, blood, but W-Y-N-D. And I've never known whether or not it was wind, wine, what have you. But I came in with the Death of Superman, and he was a prominent figure in that. And that was one of the first, if not the first, person of color that I remember seeing.
And if I'm not mistaken, that was also the hint of who he was truly, right? I remember that moment and going, "Whoa, who is this guy?"
Yeah, when he gets caught
yeah.
on fire, and Blue Beetle figures it out before Doomsday Mud stomps him.
Yeah, yep. So, and then last but not least, John.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's probably Blood Wind, though, right? I mean, because because I'm thinking like, is the cat is he from the Caribbean, or is he winding it out? I'm just.
I think like it was whoever John was coming up with. Like, oh yes, Blood Wind. I don't know if I like that name. Like it's I don't
Blood
know.
Wine Mine. Anyway, a horrible Caribbean accent. Anyway, so I think it was probably. I think for me it was probably like the Falcon or Black Lightning for me, because I'm an old cat. I'm about to turn 50. So like, I'm thinking, it was probably one of those, because I remember like having the original like Black Lightning comics, in my collection, and also reading Captain America and the Falcon when it was Captain America and the Falcon. When I was like, who is this horrible artist drawing Captain America? And it was Jack Kirby, because hated Jack Kirby's work back in the day. Little did I know that I was very ignorant. So I had no idea.
Same here.
Why
we all learned that, bro.
Anyway, never mind.
Yeah, between Jack and Big John, I mean, I don't think I think you have to come to a certain age or something, or till you.
When you start, when you become a connoisseur of comics, you start to realize, oh, these people were geniuses.
Especially when you start drawing them yourself.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Then it all becomes like, oh,
I know.
You accidentally let the cross hatching fool you into thinking like, oh no, these guys draw better.
Yeah, no.
Right. Yeah, all the grimaces of the 90s, like the tight speed lines in between. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely like Black Lightning. I was really into Black Lightning back in the day too. I liked them a lot. And Falcon, I always liked the Falcon a lot. So yeah.
So fast forwarding a little bit, and then DC had Milestone there in the 90s for a little bit, but then I still would wager to say that in regards to the proportion of DC and Marvel, the amount of white characters they have versus the amount of characters of color combined, I'd say it's still, for lack of a better, no pun intended, drop in a bucket, in comparison. And to me, from my point of view, it's more like the independent creators like yourselves that are creating characters and universes, that represent, us as well as our various cultures and points of views and lens. Now there's been a recent signing of the two Brandons and a few other creators with DC's new event. But take me back to when you felt like there was a need for yourself as a creator to start maybe injecting more of yourself and your worldview into the industry of comics or creating. Let's start with Moana, and then we'll move on.
So I think I always felt like there was a need, because for me, from my perspective, it's a double, right? Like it's a person of color and then also a woman too. So I think that's probably why I gravitated to Storm a lot, because she was someone who I could kind of relate to. And it's really important in media, main media, mainstream media, to have people of color, not just as a checkbox. The authenticity of the story is super important too. But it's important that we be seen, because if we are not seen, then in a lot of cases, it's not relatable, nor is it accessible to us, right? So it's hard to get someone to, buy in and be interested in a given product or, whatever we're creating, without that being there. Because I mean, for me as a kid, I was just like, why do I have to care about these stories? You know, in school, right? Like history, we get taught American history, right? And I'm like, okay, who is this George Washington, and why should I care? So it's definitely important. And if you talk to like a lot of creators, right, they always go back to who are their favorites as a kid. So for me, I'm always thinking of like, how do I reach these children and inspire them to create sooner than I came to this thing, right? Because I didn't become a creator until now, like in my 40s, right? And I want these kids to be creating from like in grade school, like, and teaching them like Victor does, right? Doing these classes and making important investments into our children so that they can, you know, even surpass us, right? Because that's, for me, that's always my goal. How can I help the next generation to leapfrog ahead?
Okay, awesome. I mean, yeah, great. In fact, let's just go ahead and move to Victor. You know, since you mentioned Victor, and Victor, you definitely do a lot within the community and with youth and everything of that. Same question to you as far as when did it become more important for you to make an impact and just kind of have, you know, more of your worldview and representation?
So I guess it's always been important to me. I think the most interesting part of it is that my worldview is not the norm of your typical Black creator. A Black creator is what I am. It's not who I am. So what I don't ever aim to do is to specifically create Black content. What I aim to do is create good content that can have a universal appeal. Does that sometimes lean towards Black content? Absolutely. I think the important thing is not to deny that aspect, but for me as a creator, I don't aim for that aspect. And that's something that's very unique, I think, in being a person of color in a creative field that acknowledges, like, full on representation absolutely matters. I think also how you're represented also matters. So it's not just the simplicity of being seen, but also being able to see yourself in a way that you don't immediately recognize. I preach that duality. I find the necessity of certain aspects of representation kind of off-putting. Like, I was the guy that didn't like Milestone as a kid, and the number one title that I tell everybody that set me off was Blood Syndicate. And part of it was, as a teenager in the early 90s, gang culture, even in Columbus, Ohio, was huge. And the last thing that I really wanted was to read about gangs in comics when I can see that in the newspaper. I could see that on the news. I could go outside on the corner and be experienced with that. I didn't want that. So because of Blood Syndicate specifically, I ended up shying away from the whole of Milestone because I knew that was an interwoven factor to it. And that wasn't where I wanted to be as a young mind, as a young creative. So, I think the closest thing that I ever had in terms of like a yes, do Black things for Black's sake, I was in middle school, and it was due to reading Tribe. I loved what Tribe represented because it was grown up, it was sophisticated, it wasn't the norm of what I was seeing outside. It was something different. But that was like the closest time that I could say, like, wanting to create something of Blackness for the sake of Blackness was me in middle school. But I got to a certain point where that became less of my personal creative goals.
Gotcha. Shout out to Larry Stroman of Tribe.
Intelligence over get Todd.
Yeah. Thank you. I was going to say, somebody help me out with it. So I mean, speaking of less than, I mean, there's definitely was a deficit. And John, you and I are of the little bit of older nature, and I remember you talking about Daredevil and Captain America being two of your favorites back in the day. But
still are.
Still are. I mean, I still, Captain America, is one of my favorites. Wolverine, is one of my favorites. But I mean, in regards to the deficit of characters, when did it become important for you to start like putting your your voice into this conversation?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I came up in Mississippi, in the sticks. Like I came up in a very rural space, and I remember when comic books went away. Because for me, it's always been access. What I mean by that is like around 78, 79 is when the direct market is created, and then you can't get comics at the stop and go or like, stuff like that. And I remember that. And and also remember, like, you know, ordering comics from like Bud Plant, or like getting the free catalogs. I couldn't afford to comics anymore. You know, it's the other thing is like not being able to afford them. So I was like, but I would look at stuff like The Watchmen. I didn't read The Watchmen until like much later. I didn't read like Love and Rockets until much later, but I knew what they were because I had the catalogs, you know, which they would send you for free, you know.
Yeah.
You just have to like ask for one, like Bud Plant and like Mile High Comics and stuff, right? Yeah. So that's one thing. So I also thought about comics in a broad fashion very early on. Like I think I don't think I understood what a medium was when I was a kid, but I think I just love comics. So I was reading everything, like from superhero comics. I was reading Richie Rich, Archie, and I've always been like that. I always loved. I never picked sides. You know, I'm not a DC or Marvel dude. I just like, you know, I like great stories. You know, but I have to say, like, because of the fact that racism is so ubiquitous and so baked into Mississippi, that I didn't realize that what a minority was. I didn't realize that, you know, how Black folk were being treated in these spaces. You know, you're just coming up and you're just kind of living your life as a kid. But I do remember the first time I realized I was Black, and it was after watching Roots, right? And I was like, oh, it was, of course, like, you learn that you're Black around, you know, or that you're different around that age. So I had been like 7, 8, something like that. And I was like, what is going on with my life? And then, you know, and I still wasn't really politicized over that. I didn't really think about like racial politics like that until I went to like grad school, because after I went to HBCU, you know, I went to Jackson State University, which is like 99.99% Black. And then you go to University of Illinois and you're like, oh, and you realize like, oh my God, okay, yeah, I see what's going on here. Like, you know. So I think that politicized me the way around aesthetics, and like I've always been a fly in the buttermilk though. You know, I've always taught in spaces and been in spaces where I was like the only Black person. Like I was only the second Black professor to get tenure at University of Illinois in the history of the campus, founded in 1866. So it's like, you know, for like art, you know, for art was the first. I mean second, sorry. And you know, so I started thinking about that a lot as far as like aesthetics. But as far as like comics goes, the first time I was thinking about independent comics, when I made the first version of the Whole, which is like me and Damien's like, you know, first foray into like doing indie comics. The first version of the Whole was a white character. A lot of people don't realize that. Like we actually race bent our own character, my own character, you know. And I think what it was is like, I just want to be considered like a Black, I mean, I want to be like a good cartoonist. And I was thinking from that standpoint. And then what happens is like, when I start really looking at like just media as a, you know, as a whole, I realized like I could make 1,000 Black characters and we still be underrepresented, you know what I'm saying? And so that's why like when me and Damien started working together and we had similar politics, we were like, you know what, let's take this character to Whole and actually let's really delve into representation. So the Whole was actually like the first time I really started thinking about that. And then what happens is I start to like archive other artists, you know, because first you have to create a canon, like who's out there making this work, you know, and that's why Black Comics and the Black Comics Returns book came. And then of course, after that, you want to create venues where we can share information and empower each other. That's why the events start happening. And the next level is to start actually publishing and having a space. So I want Megascope to be a safe haven for people like ourselves to actually get out our work on a really, really big way to normalize all of our culture, you know what I'm saying? And that's still in the process. So that's kind of like my first foray, and that's kind of like where my head is right now. But I'm really a radical archivist. Like, right, one of the reasons that I want to work here at the University of California, Riverside, is we actually have one of the largest repositories for science fiction and fantasy. It's called the Eden Archive. And so very similar to what, you know, was jumping off in Columbus with the Billy Ireland, we actually have a large repository of like sci-fi stuff, right? And I was like, you know what, we need to have a section where we're talking about artists of color who are making fantasy work and, you know, stuff like that. So just keep that in mind whenever y'all are donating papers places, you know, this is a good spot for them. So
definitely. And Newton, in regards to the deficit that existed in comics for representation, when was it that you decided that you wanted to jump in?
So I just want to echo some of what Vic said. So in regards to creating content on a universal context, so it's like, as a creator, first you want to create something that hits as many people as possible in a broad sense, because we're all human beings. We all experience some of the same things. So as a creator, that's where you want to base your whole foundation on, right? And that's something I agree with. But for me, the starting point is within myself, my background. I'm Haitian American, so that's my starting point. So with that, so with comics, even so, you see a lot of Black comics, right? People say, oh, there aren't really a lot of Black comics out there, but there are a lot of Black comics out there, right? You just got to look for them. So there aren't a lot of Black comics or representation in the main media, but I'm not one of those people who really care about that. So just as long as we have our own foundation, we've always had it, right? Whether it's like movies, comic books, or whatever. Even back in the days, going back to like the 1940s, we've always had someone there or a group of people creating things that were for us, right? So you can always dip into that pool. So for myself, when I looked at it, I was like, okay, we're all Black, but Black is not just like, it's not monotonous like across cultures. I'm Haitian American, so there's things particular with Haitians that I want to kind of just embed in comic books too. So that's where it starts with me. It's just a cultural aspect, somebody who's from somewhere else, like Nigeria, they're gonna inject what their culture means. So for me, that's when I decided. I was like, okay, specifically, one of the things that really like touches a nerve for me is the religion of voodoo, right? So a lot of Haitians practice voodoo, but when you look at the media, it's portrayed as in always in the negative light, right? But which bothers me. I don't practice voodoo personally, but because I come from a culture that does, and I understand it, it really bothers me because it's not just even white folks that does it. It's even our own people, Black people. I remember one time when Haiti had that big earthquake, and there was some comments on Facebook, and a Black guy commented, "Oh, that's why the Haitians need to stop messing with voodoo." So I'm like, comments like that. So hit me really strong. So I was like, okay, we need to just change, or like we need to inflect, certain viewpoints of what, not just voodoo, but other things too, related to African culture, into what we're creating, and control the conversation ourselves. So that's when I decided, okay, this is what I'm gonna contribute to this. I'm gonna contribute my viewpoints, my voice in terms of my culture, and just maybe in other African related cultures too. So that's when I decided, okay, let me just jump in this foray here and voice my opinion.
Yeah, honestly, if not for you and Greg, who created his Nana the Were Spider, I myself wouldn't have been introduced to a more broader, more accurate perspective when it comes to voodoo and things of that African lore, especially as Moana indicated that we have a U.S. history that's taught in the education system that's not an accurate portrayal of the real U.S. history. Growing up, most of us weren't introduced to the real history in regards to Black history. I'm still searching and looking and researching and trying to learn about my own history, and then and I mean, forget about anything else as far as like Pacific Islander or other cultural stuff, like like Filipino, like I'm Filipino, Moana's Filipino, I'm Black, and then the rest of you all are Black, and I'm not saying I'm the nexus or anything. What I'm saying is that that there's a deficit in education as well as representation, and which is thankfully being introduced to all of you creators gives me more of a broader perspective. And the beautiful thing is that everyone here is trying to pass that down to the next, set of creators coming up. So I wanted to get Morgan in on this conversation, but we'll let Morgan get a little bit stabilized with the with this connection. But moving forward, okay, Morgan, we were asking in regards to when was your epiphany of wanting to be involved in the conversation and being able to bring your voice to the conversation, whether it be related to universal acceptance or just seeing yourself represented in the creative medium of comics.
I mean, I think it's probably twofold because, many people know, like Danny Quick is my partner with Ace Blade and with Fourth Wall Universe and everything. And I honestly wasn't even I didn't grow up reading comics. Like I watched the TV shows. Like I used to watch Batman the animated series. I watched X-Men, Spider-Man. Like the stuff that would come on during the week. And I watched that, but I didn't grow up reading comics. And I only came into it initially because Danny said he had an idea for trying to come up with a universe, and he was trying to come up with names and stuff like that. And he asked me to come in, and I was like, nah, I'm good, because I didn't know. He hit me out of the blue with the idea in the first place. Like, I didn't even know what he was talking about. And then, I didn't know Black people did anything that had to do with comics whatsoever. So, I mean, it was a double whammy for me. I'm like, man, you're not about to have me on no nerd stuff. I'm already a nerd as it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I just, like, I guess, how blurs have become a thing. I don't think I knew that blurs was a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, being a Black person that's into nerdy stuff. Like, you know what I mean? And I don't know. That's how I initially came in, and then I started getting ideas. And I've always loved writing when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't. For a long time, I fell away from it. You know what I mean? I wasn't really into it. And when Danny started asking me to come in, the ideas started coming, and that's when stuff started clicking and whatever. And that's kind of like, that's how I got started. And now it means a lot to me, mostly because I got started so late and reconnected with my love for writing. That's where a lot of it comes in for me now, to be that type of inspiration, that bridge for kids. That it's never too late. Number one, it's never too late for you to go after your dreams. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter how old you are when you realize or reconnect with whatever your dream was or whatever your love was. And I've loved writing since I was little, but like when I was growing up, at some point it just started falling away. You know what I'm saying? Like the stuff that I was artistically talented to do, me singing in school, like writing poems, whether it be poems, short stories, stuff like that. I used to love those assignments, but the older I got, I started playing football, running track. By the time I got to A&T, I mean, it was too much other stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? Like it was parties on campus and dope stuff going on all the time, and I just wasn't into it. But now knowing more so having a better grasp of African American culture and what we've been through as a culture and grown in this country and fought through to get to, that's something that I want to bring to the forefront. Also, to be able to, from a Black perspective, bring something to be broad spectrum for everybody to ingest parts of our culture that they're not otherwise going to be exposed to. Even Black people. There's Black people that just don't have the experience from other Black people. Like if you didn't grow up in the hood, you don't really connect with it. That there's probably problems, there's probably problems in the hood, or you've seen it in media, you've seen it on Baby Boy, or you've seen it in Boys in the Hood. That's your connection to the hood, but you can act like you're from it, but there's still a disconnection there. So I think it's important to have Black people from all walks as creatives that are able to put those type of stories forward, because it connects with more people, not just the population abroad, but Black people as a whole. So I mean, at this point, that's one of the places I'm looking to thrive in.
All right, you must be reading my mind, because I was just about to pivot, because we've been focusing on the past, and now I was going to ask about the present, and I was going to stick with you while we have you still. But you kind of just already hit on that. As far as my question to you all is, what do you feel is needed in present day, culture and comics and creation, and with the medium, as well as with the community? But Morgan, you already started us off on that. Unless you have any little bit more you want to weigh in on that, I'll probably move on. You also just recently came to comics within the last decade or so. And so from an outsider's point of view, thank you for touching on that stuff as far as getting all walks of life, all parts of the community represented. Moana, you're also recent to comics, so same question to you in regards to presently, what do you feel is needed within whether it be a community, industry, creative content, culture, whichever.
So I would say there's a lot that's needed. I guess creatively, kind of like what Morgan was saying, understanding the different types of cultures and the different types of walks of life that are connected into Black culture and Black history, and also bridging the connections to other people who have African roots but may not claim it, right? So like if you think about the slave trade and how that went throughout the world and where those people ended up, a lot of people also don't know, and I did not know until relatively recently, that there was a thriving slave trade in Hawaii as well.
Yep.
So not Hawaii, but like the Pacific Islands in general. And that was called blackbirding. And basically that started because the slaveholders who got basically ousted out of America, they moved their enterprises elsewhere, So I would see in some parts of Pacific culture where it was clear that there were Black roots, right? But then didn't necessarily understand that as a kid. So a lot of what drives me now is trying to, as I do my research, trying to identify those connections and understand, helping people to understand that like we're all connected. This is not a, this doesn't happen in isolation, right? And how can we share these experiences and build upon them to better form an understanding of each other, and find ways to combat a lot of the things that we have experienced throughout history, and do it in a productive way. And in addition to that, I would say also what's missing is a lot of how to do the business end of this, right? Like how can you operate it, in a country that's based on economics, right? And how can you leverage your community and your network to build up together that's beneficial for all?
As you said, colonization and slave trade do not discriminate when it comes to exploiting, people globally. Speaking of math and business, we're going to stay with the present, how what we need to fill in the present day. But we're going to pivot with math and business to my friend Victor Dandridge, and then I want to pivot to academia with John, and we'll get to everyone. So, Victor, in regards to what Moana was talking about, would you like to build upon that?
Well, yeah, I think the absolute goal that everyone's kind of hit on already is the goal of building beyond a monolithic idea of what our voice is. We do have different cultures as Black people, as people of color, even, and so being able to present that to a market to say, both in a sense of representation of the individual, but also in the globalization of seeing yourself or having others see themselves in something that doesn't look like them. As Moana kind of talked about the hidden Blackness of things, like our culture is everywhere. It is not a subjugated, separated culture from American culture. It is a part of American culture. And you can see that when you look at, Spider-Man, one of my favorite examples. With great power comes great responsibility. It's just a distilled version of the talented 10th. That's W.E.B. Du Bois's, philosophy, Black philosophy, but given to you in a manner that 3-year-olds quote it, without any question, and they understand. That's still Black, culture at play. So being able to create something where we have that universality, that's the goal here, to show those different places where we fit in, where other people don't know that we fit in, that people don't recognize that we fit in. I think, the Brandons that are working for DC right now is dope, especially if anyone literally approaches Batman from the perspective of a person who has survived gun violence of a family member. That's huge in the Black community. That's a perspective that we don't talk about with Batman, but it's 100% true of his story, and an easy way for a Black writer or Black creative to connect to that story, because it's part and parcel with a lot of the things that we've ever, you know, struggled with in history. So, you know, there's lots of great things that you know, we can build upon to show that it's not just this one thread of our culture. It's many fingers off of many hands.
Nice. And then pivoting to the academic you know, angle, I've seen the academic, I've become a part of the academic, you know, the academic body in regards to comics. There's been an explosion. You know, we talk about present day evolution and present day, you know, I can't think of anyone other than maybe Frederick Adama and a few other people like Stacy, other than John Jennings. John, you're at the forefront of that. So present day, as far as what do you feel like is missing from missing or can be improved upon in regards to the medium or industry, or even in academia? Is academia the answer to that, or do you think it's
yeah. No, I mean, I don't necessarily think it's the answer. I think you hit it on all systems. All these different things are systems. Like when I say the academy, people are like, "What are you talking about?" You know, because it's a system. You know what I'm saying? It's a system, and every closed system has its own checks and balances, its own rules and regulations and stuff like that. And what I've been trying to do is be a conduit between being a maker, an archivist, and an academic, and try to bring those threads together as much as possible, because it's the same kind of thing that happens on a campus. Like, for instance, you know, even the nomenclature of like the way that we teach stuff is wrong. Like, for instance, we have art departments and we have programs, we have, you know, divisions, you know what I'm saying? I was like, that even the language is like, okay, we should, that's not how you learn stuff. You know, and it drives me crazy. Like one of the hotbed topics right now in academia is like the idea of interdisciplinarity, right? So it means like basically learning different types of knowledge bases. So the sciences playing with the arts, and you know, yep, very much so. Colonizer mentality. Thank you for that. Also, nomenclature itself, naming things, you know, is also a colonizer. You know, that's why I always play around with a lot of different like new names and stuff, because that's actually like, it's a type of agency, because the first thing that's going to start happening is you name it, you can claim it, right? That's biblical. Shoot. Anyway. So the first thing that you try to do is like, you want to break down those barriers. Like, because I have people that are probably working on the same thing in English and in women and gender studies. You just need to get into the same space and have these conversations. I'm doing a talk for a archaeology society I'm like a Black archaeologist. Yes, I'm like, this is crazy to me. So
this was Stanford?
Huh?
This was Stanford?
No,
Okay.
here. Her name is Ayana. I forgot what she's new faculty here, but she's a storyteller, but she's also an archaeologist and an anthropologist. Nice. So they're doing a storytelling thing. So that's one thing that academics need to do, is like break down the barriers. The second thing about representation is that we focus a lot on Black representation a lot when we talk about race, because the way that race is constructed, it's a Black-white thing, because white folk made up race. You know what I'm saying? That's a white technology, you know, in order to, like, you know what I'm saying? We didn't make that up. You know, we don't come out the womb saying, I'm a Black man. No, it's like, no, it's a learned response. It's a socialized response. So and race is a relatively new invention, because it functions like a deliverable, it functions like a design, it functions like a product, you know, or a prosthetic, you know. And you know what I'm saying? So we don't have that much to do with it. It's useless to us in some ways. You know, we're just trying to survive. It's like, here's this Black, deal with that. And you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe I can make something with this. I don't know what it is, you know, and we try to figure those things out. That's why, as you have all said, it's like Blackness is not a monolithic idea, you know what I'm saying? Because you're bringing the cultural standpoint. I come from a Black Southern mentality. Most of my stuff is Black and Southern, because, you know, the South got something to say, right? Like Outcasts, right? I know, right? Anyway, but I definitely think, because of the fact that when Blackness was created, it was created to be the antithesis of whiteness, you know what I'm saying? And so when we talk about critical race studies, a lot of times we focus in some ways too much on Blackness, and a lot of the other racialized ethnicities get pushed out. So I think there needs to be more focus on indigeneity, but people who are indigenous. There needs to be more focus on people who have been subjugated who are Asian as well. Like I love the fact like there's a comic book like called Displacement that's about the Japanese internment camps, right? Yeah, Whit Taylor, by the way, was editor on that. Whit Taylor.
Love that book.
So yeah, it's a great book, and it's kind of
introducing it to me.
like with Japanese internment camps. And so it's like, and the other thing is people of Latinx, Latino, Hispanic. That's what I love the fact that I teach at a Hispanic Serving Institute. It's almost like a HBCU, but for like brown folk is what UCR is,
Yeah.
So, our population is only 11% white, and we're like 27,000 folk go to school. So it's, and it serves people of color. So most of my students are folk of color from
Southern California.
Southern California, exactly. Yeah. So those are the things that I think are weaknesses, I think. But we are making ground. We are pushing forward. I teach 3 classes on Afrofuturism and 1 class on comics. Like I'm teaching a class on comics right now as an intro class to the medium, because I found that an artist teaching in a media studies program is exactly where I need to be, because of the fact of these limitations and stuff. Even in an art program where you think it's supposed to be very liberal, it's not. It's like I am a painter, I am a sculptor, I am a graphic designer, and neither the twain shall meet, and it drives me crazy. And it's like even when you're going through I'm going through like a merit raise right now, and everything has to be documented a particular way, and it drives you crazy. And that's one of the things, the limitations of the academy is like there's very little wiggle room, so you have to create spaces. That's why laser, for instance, that is so important with Aldama's community, right? Because you do a space where you are trying to connect with the community, right? That's why I work with there's a space here called the Culver Arts Center, which is in the middle of Riverside, right? And it has an open it has a gallery space that has like windows and stuff. So people can actually see art, without even going into the museum. It's a photography museum, and it's very much like in the middle of the community. They need to do programming around that kind of stuff. And I think that is also another weakness, is that there's this town and gown separation, right? The town that the university is in, and the gown, which is the idea of the academy. Those things should play together a lot more. All right. And so that's I have a lot to say about that, but I'm gonna stop. But those are my main things.
I definitely feel they should be integrated. But you kind of you hit on the head when it came to academia as far as the division goes, because it's almost as if their colonization of academia is by keeping it divided, they can therefore dictate where funds and budget goes, and what gets shortchanged when it comes to budget and the funds and money. It's usually the arts or the cultural divisions of departments. So
it's driven by capitalism. It is by capitalism, and so the sciences and things like that push it. But my whole thing is like, when you're successful, right? Like when you become quote unquote successful, when you have the money to buy things, you buy things that entertain you. You buy things that you buy clothes, you buy like a car, stuff like that. You get a really nice house. All of these things start out on a design table. All these things start out as a concept and someone, and then you make it, right? But those things are always downplayed. The humanities are always downplayed because we want to make people less human so we can slate and put them in slavery, but better. You must make better slaves. This is the last I'm gonna say. One of the most heinous things that ever happened to humanity is the commoditization of time. To tell people that time is equal to money is one of the worst things.
The 40-hour work week, the 8 hours.
Too much. You know what I'm saying?
So archaic.
One thing that we've learned from this COVID piece is time is not promised.
Yes, we have.
Time is greater than money. Thank you.
Time, debt are these man-made constructs, so, and we're not living in a farmer, agricultural society anymore. So.
And I was on mute and yelling at the computer.
yeah, you were. So, but before I get you going on a tangent, I want to make sure I get Newton in on this. Newton, you kind of touched upon.
Wait. Before you go, I apologize. I gotta run.
Okay.
But this was an absolute pleasure to voice with all of you guys. I would have had more conversations.
I gotta get from the hardest. I thought I was the hardest working man in comics. I'm like, damn, really? Go ahead.
Listen. I'm just trying to be like you. Come on now.
All
the love. All the love. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you so much, Victor. All right. So, Newton, in regards to present day filling the void, You mentioned as far as spirituality and religion and things of that of that nature. Feel free to elaborate on that if you'd like, or if you see other holes present day that we need to consider filling, culture, community, industry, medium, or creatively. By all means, just the floor is yours.
Present day, huh? So that's a big question.
Niche
What's
down if you want
missing?
to.
Yeah. So I guess the way I would answer that question is just the idea of exposing people more to things that aren't in the mainstream, right? So, but my 9 to 5, I'm a IT consultant. I'm computer programmer slash cloud technologies, right? So I'm in the tech world, right? And when the internet came along, there was this promise that, oh, now you can be an independent person, whether that's a musician, comic book creator, writer, whatever. And now you have this broad base that you could be exposed to, right? So that was an exciting thing, and in some respect, you do see things like that because there are people who can create their own YouTube channel, SoundCloud account, or even comic book like we're doing, and be exposed to all these people. The one thing that I would like to see more. It feels like that opportunity is kind of closing in because you have platforms like Facebook, right? And it's really popular, but they run on algorithms, right? And so those algorithms now are controlling. So now instead of the internet being the promise of being open, now it seems like now it's more closed, right? Because now you have algorithms blocking you or preventing you from reaching even a wider audience. So the one thing that I would like to see more of is technology kind of fulfilling more of that promise, you know, filling that promise that, I, as a creator, I can go out on the internet and it would help me find my audience quicker, faster, than, the typical grind, the previous way where you would have to grind real hard for years before you even get acknowledged, So that's the one thing that um, I would love to see happen in the present day. Just technology helping us more. That potential technology just helping us the way that initially it sounded like, oh yeah, because like just like you JM and John, we're about the same age. I think Moana and I too, right? I'm not sure about Morgan, but anyway, you guys were probably there when the internet was just getting, was just blowing up, right? And that's what they said, this whole promise. So I'd like to see that promise even materialize even at a bigger scale, or at the scale that they had initially promised.
Exactly, like innovation. They promised us innovation and free access instead of this cap and trade our data and our and our personal information. So speaking of innovation, when we look to the future, my next and last question, because we only have about 5 minutes left, is my question is, when you look into the future, despite what's happening here in the next 2 weeks with this election, hopefully when we look into the future, my question is to you all is what are your expectations looking forward? Look about 10, 20 years in regards to the medium of comics, creativity, our culture, our community. What are your expectations? If you could play psychic right now or precog, what do you look at in the future? I'm gonna start with Morgan, move on.
I personally, I think right now there are really important moves and advancements being made by other pioneers in the space. I think Tyler Perry's purchase and building of that studio is far bigger than we currently realize. I think the ascension of Jordan Peele, the activation of Michael B. Jordan, John Boyega. There's a lot of Regina King, Regina Hall, Kevin Hart. Like there's a lot of Black creatives that are out here that have put themselves into a space to be able to. We know that the world and Hollywood especially works off of gatekeepers, and I think we're getting to a point now where some of those gates are controlled by people that have come up the same way that we're trying to right now. So in the future, one of the things that I'm looking forward to, I personally, you know, I'm just gonna put it out in the atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? I want to write something with Jordan Peele, or have him produce something, have him see something of mine that would make him interested in working with me, or me working with him or through him, because that dude, him and Tommy Adeyemi, are like the top of the shelf for me. So I'm really looking forward to that type of collaboration, and those gatekeepers giving us all opportunities to put our work forward and really leave a stamp on things.
Yeah, they're fans of the genres and the mediums that we work in. I mean, they're comic and horror fans and whatnot. You know what I mean? So, and there's definitely a synergy happening between you know, the people you mentioned and comic properties. Netflix is scooping things up. You know, I mean, how often every other week do we see another one of our family or extended family get optioned? You know, so that's a beautiful thing. Let me go ahead and pivot to Moana. Future wise, what are your expectations that looking down the line?
Well, oh, there's so much I want. I think what I would like to see is where we kind of normalize the indigenous perspective, and we're not doing it in a way that's like to check a box kind of thing, right? Where we have a lot of characters and you know, stories that have that indigenous perspective, and it just becomes a way of life, and it becomes more authentic, and it's more like you're, you know, talking to somebody, you know, like in the neighborhood, right? Like, hey, did you see this thing? It was so awesome, you know, and just continuing to expand that. I had another thought, but I lost it. But yeah, just building on that. I'll come again if I remember it before we end.
All right. Well, this isn't the end of the conversation. We're going to have many of these conversations because, as you stated, things still need to get normalized. You know, it has to go from fad to fad in the mainstream to being the mainstream. So the last word in regards to looking down in the future is going to go to one of our current advocates and pioneers of Afrofuturism, John Jennings.
So just kind of to piggyback off of some of the things that have been said, like Morgan was talking about, the idea of the gatekeeper is a huge thing. I've been looking at publishing, you know, so a lot of times the, you know, transmedia is looking at like they need content. Essentially, a medium is just that. It's a void that you fill with different types of content, right? And whether it's television, whether it's like cable, whether it's the internet, we're content producers, which means that, you know, we have value. The other thing is that there has been a mainstreaming of Black speculative culture across the board because of, as you stated, people like Jordan Peele, you know, things like, you know, Black Panther, like Us. The other thing is you have a lot of actors, as you were stating earlier, that have their own platforms now. Like Viola Davis is producing an Octavia Butler TV show. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and she's making movies like they're, and there's a lot of these people that have like publishing deals and have spaces, including myself. I mean, I have an imprint with one of the largest publishers in the world. You know, they are the first art book publisher, and they're a really, I mean, they publish Diary of a Wimpy Kid. You know what I'm saying? So it's, you know, they're a very serious thing. So there's never been a piece like this before. So I have become a gatekeeper in a certain way. You know. Which is, and I'm looking for, you know, I'm trying to push as much stuff as I can through, because I know that there's diversity out there that needs to be seen. You know, it needs to be seen, right? And yeah, I mean, I have more stuff than I can get out. You know, because and none of these books have come out because of COVID. It's been crazy, but you know, I think the future of publishing looks really bright. I know for a fact that there are new executives in Marvel Entertainment, for instance, that are of color that are pushing different types of agendas there. That's why you're seeing some of the things changing there. Also, there's a sister, and I forgot her name. She was just made head of, I think, Random House, or yeah. There's a lot of like big executives now in publishing that happen to be women of color, you know, or people of color, in general. Also, you have stuff like the archive space. I keep pushing that. So what's his name? Oh my God, he used to be over the Schomburg. I'm forgetting his name right now. He's a poet. He just became the head of the Black Museum, for the Smithsonian. Is of course, it's always been like a person of color, but this gentleman is also a creator of poetry and things of that nature. So he has a particular vision around archiving. So there are a lot of different spaces that are shifting around just publishing in general that I think are going to get better. I think that because of the fact that these properties are making money, they're making money, and at the end of the day, if you're in a capitalist system and you can prove that there is a precedent for something, what they call it, there's something you can compare it to, then you can keep pushing it. Because basically, at this particular point, when I started talking about Afrofuturism, or when we as a culture was talking about Afrofuturism, that's 10 years ago. That was a decade ago. We could actually like document that. Mm-hmm. They are just now catching up to the stuff that we've been working on. So Black Panther was a watershed moment, but also Get Out was a watershed moment. That there is an audience for these particular types of narratives. That if you have more melanin in your skin, then you are definitely in at the moment. And actually, there was a big article that just came out from like either Hollywood Reporter or Vanity Fair. I forgot what the vehicle was. Basically stating that if you do not make diverse content, it actually hits your bottom line.
Yep. So Afro commercialism is where we're at now.
Yeah. So it's like, and here's the thing though, and people are like, well, you're selling out. I was like, well, if you're publishing a book, you want to sell out, so you can make more books, right? So it's like, this is the space we're in, right? So you have to come to grips with that we're in a commercial space, People listen to who's successful. We have tastemakers and stuff like that. And hopefully they just have the right politic. Like I've actually had, meetings with Jordan Peele and his company before. And their heads are in the right place. They really are. They're trying to make some serious change, So that's what I have to say. I think basically that this is not, I don't think it's a fad, because we've seen this happen before. I think that because of the amount of content that's out there and the fact that we actually have so many voices, there's space for all of this to do well. Right?
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. We got to wrap this up here, but like we could probably go on for like
I gotta go
talking about that. Thank you so much. I feel like Artist Alley is about to change. It's about to get when we get back into the doing shows. A lot of people are gonna have content. Not gonna be so much about prints. It's gonna be more about books and these properties. So again, thank you so much. Thank you again to Freestyle Komics. Go ahead and donate, and Mike already put all your guys' social media information in the comments. So thank you again, and I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Watson.
Mr. Watson,
Mike, you're on mute.
You're on mute, Mike.
You're still on mute,
bruh.
Yo.
Mute.
Over here. Oh, sorry. We're just trying to make sure we don't get any more of that feedback anymore that we got earlier.
Okay. Hopefully he's working on killing Carla.
Hey, we ain't killing Carla, man. You don't love what we do. Thank you so much to everybody that's on this panel. Again, big fans of all of your work, and I'm working with some of you guys and hopefully working with some of you more of you in the future. Wake up, Morgan. You ain't dead. But it was a great panel, and I know you guys can go on forever. I enjoyed the conversation. We got to move on to the next one. But thank you for coming on out. And some of you are going to be back right for this next panel. So thank you, and I will check the rest of you out later.
All right, thank you.
Thanks all.
All right. Bye, guys.
Oh my God.
All right, so we're here. It's going down. Oh, I ain't got no hat on. Damn, Brandy. So, we are here and we're back again. Why are we here? We're here because of Freestyle Komics. And what do we make at Freestyle Komics? We make comics. So how about I plug you? This is like my favorite trailer. All right, that was the trailer for Hot Shot. That's a comic book you can cop right now. That is his icon, his logo he rocks on his chest. Hot Shot is a young man in college trying to prove to his girlfriend he's not cheating on her without revealing he's a superhero and not get kicked out of college because he's never there because he's a superhero. We're 10 issues in on that. I'm working on the next story arc right now. I'm over halfway done with pencils and inks on that issue, and it's going to be devastating. If you want to know more about that, tune in tonight for our after-hour panels that we got cracking or whatnot. But what I want to tell you guys with my colleagues here to the side is that the art auction has begun. It's up. And our first piece up there right now, as soon as I get to it, you know that's there. I used to work with her, so
Right.
I'm trying to find it on. It should be coming up here soon. I was trying to do it at the same time. But it's an Avengers piece, so while I'm looking for it. Dan, you want to tell the story?
What? The Avengers piece?
The Avengers piece. You want to give them a quick summary of it?
Yeah, so, because it was so long ago, I believe that the story goes that there was a challenge piece. The gauntlet was thrown down between Mike and some friends from college. And that they were going to do to build their own Avengers team, and they were going to fight and see who won. So Mike and Mike Watson Fashion decided to do a 5-piece spread and tell a story. So we carefully built out the Avengers team. We were able, as you can see, there is Batman there, the Amalgam series, the DC. There was a DC crossover with Marvel. I know they had Avengers and Justice League, so that made it fair game to pull Batman in. We also have Darth Vader in there because at one point Marvel owned the license to do the Star Wars comics. So, we may have bended the rules a little to the advantage to try to win the battle. But as you can tell in here, this is the Avengers versus the Dreaded. The creators that Mike was battling with here with this art was they all had dreads, and you can see they're getting massacred throughout this 5-piece just monstrosity of artwork here that Mike put together.
Yeah, so as Dave says, it's a 5-piece set. We did bend some rules, but this is it's 11 by 17 each page. It's on the auction right now for $200. The link has been placed in here. I'll place it in here for you guys again. I'm going to be putting up. So this is it all together. One of the pages I'm going to give away for free because it is damaged. But the whole piece right now, $200. You guys can go over there and bid on it as soon as I put this link in here. And we're going to be introducing another piece here. This one's going to be live until 4 o'clock today. So let me get my stuff together. Oh, there's so much commenting going on. Oh, here it is. We got the art auction link, and it is bam. What's up, Midori? Good to see you. You're on our time zone now till November. That's what's up. Here's the link to the art auction. You can click on that link, copy and paste it, put it in there, and you can put your bid on this piece right now. Veronica, let's hand us the piece that you worked on. Veronica did this in watercolor, and this is going up on the auction next. Oh, my goodness gracious. Check that out. That is going up on the auction right now. As soon as we get this panel rolling. That is gorgeous. That is Marky of Emerald Quest. Hey, this girl good. She good. She good at what she do. I wish I could be information. Oh, that would work. All right, so we got people dropping in here right now. I wish you could too, but you only here temporarily. We got to get you back here when you're permanent. All right, so we're going to remove that one. So yes, those are both up. Let me get a little screen grab of that so I can reference it. But that piece took me, I don't know, it took me like a month.
Something like that.
I was working on it at my job because I used to work with Danny. I would work on my lunch breaks, my lunch. My 15-minute breaks, I'd work on it. I'd work on my lunch. I'd come back home and work on it. We had a notebook of stories for each one of the characters, how they were connected, the designs for the Dreaded, their costume and stuff.
Honestly, that's even the old Hotshot logo before it became an H and an S.
It is. It absolutely is. So Hotshot is in that bad boy as well. So that's why it counts. I wish I felt that. You were supposed to. All right, so we are live right now, streaming across YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. And we are here for a very specific reason. We are here to raise funds to help us make more awesome comics. All right, so right now, let me tell you about, one of our sponsors, You Create Comics. They're a great line of comic book tools that help you learn how to make comic books. And we're going to plug them right now.
That's a big thanks to y'all. Peace.
Awesome. So if you are watching this thread currently right now, check out that You Create. They got a website and everything, youcreatecomics.com, and they're on Facebook and on social media. I use the tools all the time, like legit. What's that commercial for the guy who's losing hair?
I'm not only the president, I'm also the member or something like that.
Yeah, well, I'm not only a comic artist, I use the tools as well. So I think you should too. But so we got in this thread, in this post right now, we got the links all in there. So to go get some exclusive FSK t-shirts, which are banging. We got some exclusives today that are not going to be up there anymore. So this will be your time to check them out. And they're on sale. Instead of $20, they are $13. Let me show you some shirts. I'm glad that DeviantArt page was not up. Man, that would have been crazy. All right, so, and we got the Veronica exclusive chibi arts up here. The Vigilance is my favorite one that she's done. In the classic red, we have Titan and we have Hot Shot. The shirt, instead of being $20, they are $13. I'm telling you, jump on them right now. We are all rocking these shirts right now. Like, we got these from T Republic or T Public or whatever. Here's a one I'm just trying out to see if anybody likes it, but Danny J Quick did because he bought it. Hot Shot with that symbol that just says "Just Do It." The Villain shirt from the Indie Destruction War that we're doing, and this bad boy right here, which is exclusive, Dave Jackson art that we got. Oh my goodness, it looks so cool because it's new and fresh. Look at that bad boy. Check that out. After today, it will not be up there any longer. Go back. Then we got the marvelous FSK shirts, Hot Shot, Vigilance, Titan, and Marky up there. And I got the Black Panther passing the baton to Hot Shot. We got some cool stuff up here. Go check them out. The shirts, a good portion of them are on sale today. Those new ones I just described to you are on sale right now. Check them out. Let me remove that. And we got 2 exclusive prints for FSK Day. They are $10. If you want them, all you got to do is make your comment in the chat. They're $10 and the shipping is $3. Here's the first one. I don't even know what to name it. It's just, I know what to name this. Hot Shot saw a spider.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
Or Hot Shot saw a ghost, or Hot Shot saw
They're out of barbacoa.
something scary.
So this one's available. We print that out for you right now, and we'll get that shipped off. A couple of them already been sold today. And because Veronica's awesome, we have this exclusive Vigilance piece that she finished up and colored for us. And it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. So both of these are available. And since Veronica's here, we're both going to sign this for you. I'll sign this other one for you. So they're $10 a piece. Shipping will be $3 on that. All right.
And right now we are at $298. So
$298.
$2 shy. So if someone can help us get to that $300 mark, that would be fantastic.
Hold up. Ugh. Hold up. Oh, there's my family. Can y'all see my password? Okay, good. We're at that. What, 298? Let me.
Yeah, we are right under 300.
Bam. I'm gonna put it right there. I'm not gonna fade coloring in all the way. Bam. We are at $298. Brian Dalton has also announced that he's giving us a discount, 1% for every $100 that we raise. So come on, let's make that happen. He's doing that discount for anybody that orders.
Right. So if
it's not my discount; it's for y'all.
Yeah. So if you help us raise money, he's gonna kick that back to you guys as a thank you and give you a percentage off. Right now we're at 3% off. We can get it up to 10% off of your order this month in November.
Right. If we hit our goal of $1,000, that's the goal that we're going for. $1,000 today. Of course, you can give. We're asking for $1. That's it. Of course, you can give more. I'm not gonna say no to more. Danny, are you gonna say no to more?
I'm not gonna say no to more.
Are you gonna say no to more?
Oh, no.
Okay. Well, we're not gonna say no.
Not gonna say no to a share either. Help spread the love to your audience.
Absolutely. And if you don't want to donate, but you want to get product, go right ahead because we got this awesome website that I'm a part of. What's the name of that website? ShortFuseGroupMediaGroup.com. See, I couldn't even get it out. I'm so excited. ShortFuseMediaGroup.com is where you can get the books. And we're rocking 16 comics on that website right now. Plus tons of other ones and some new ones we just signed to the indie draft. That's right. We did an indie draft. What you know about that? All right, man. It's panel time. I've done enough hype. We about to get into it. What do we got here? Hey, there's some more of that trendy branding that I'm such a big fan of. Hey, Leo. Leo's still talking. Leo is still talking. Oprah's so happy. I'm so glad the stars came out to help us tonight, man. I mean, this is crazy, the support that we are getting today. It's just phenomenal.
Mel Gibson does not look happy to be here.
Well, Mel's not happy a lot. He just did a movie called Fat Man. So, I mean, he doesn't look too excited in that either.
Sure.
All right, let the panelage begin. Oh, wait. Andy, there you go. We got Andy. He's going to be our host today. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing all right. I've been listening and sharing and doing as much as I possibly can. In fact, I'm ordering the T-shirts right now. I'll be ordering the comics as some gifts for my nieces and nephews because I got one nephew that is way big into superheroes. So I'm going to share that love of Hot Shot that I have with him. I got some nieces that are super into Wonder Woman, and I'm like, Vigilance, perfect. Heroes International, I got nobody, but they're gonna get it.
What shirt are you getting?
Actually, I'm gonna get the for me, I'm gonna get the Freestyle Komics with like the Marvel parody kind of theme on it. But instead of doing the Hot Shot blue, I'm doing purple because everybody knows me for my purple.
You're right. You're right.
You know, that way I can be wearing it at conventions when shows come back to life. And I can, you know, be out there rocking the FSK brand while still rocking my purple brand, which ties into my comics, The Manor, and things like that. So
2 birds, 1 stone.
Darn right. And I'm getting the Hot Shot hoodie because, you know, I wear a lot of hoodies.
You do.
So,
what are we getting, baby girl? I put the Vigilance shirt, so you got a couple to choose from.
So Anna chose 3 shirts because she couldn't decide. She's gonna rock the Vigilance chibi, the Dark Vigilance chibi, and the which is the other one? Classic Marvelous Vigilance. And then my youngest daughter is going, like, she wants in on this, and she wants the Vigilance Brave and the Bold because Anna has, any of you guys who know my family, we are all tall, we're all skinny. So the like my 12-year-old stands to about here on me, you know, and I'm 6 foot. So we're not short people. So she has outgrown her Vigilance shirt, and her younger sister wants it, and she's not ready to give it up yet, but it's not quite showing the belly button. It's right there though. Like,
right on the cusp.
We can't do that midriff thing here. Like I got teenage daughter, you know, like that ain't happening.
I'm with you. I'm with you. All right, so we're about to get this thing rolling. Andy's hosting our panel, and we got some great ones on here, and we're about to get it going in 3, 2.
Whoa.
What's up, guys?
What's up? What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
All right. We got everybody in here except for Ren.
Ren said he's going to go.
Oh.
Yep. But he's coming. So, hello, everybody. I am your host, Andy Shaggy Cordy. One half of the Manor. Actually, that's not true. I'm all the Manor. And an editor for Freestyle Komics for an upcoming book called Taijutsu Gates. Very sweet. You'll hear more about that later on today in a later panel. So make sure that you're watching some of these others. I got some great guys out here with me. I got Mike Watson. I got Ryan. I've got JM. Wow, man, you're going crazy. We're gonna have Ren here with us later today.
Might need to mute.
So it's chat and draw, and we're gonna toss it out there for the people in the chat to make some suggestions as to what it is they want to see, like which characters they want to see you guys draw. I mean, I had made a suggestion earlier that I wanted to see Ren draw Hugh-Man and Carla battling it out. I don't think it's going to happen. What do you guys want to see?
Let's see. We got about 25 people watching right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm seeing no comments here. Come on, guys. Where's the love? Where's the love? While we're waiting, though.
Andy, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Your camera.
It's all kinds of FSK. J-Man, I need a more specific character than just FSK. Oh,
J-Man
versus Carla from Danny J. Quick.
I like that one.
Of course you do. Because you are.
I mean, they're the same person, so I don't know if they really can fight.
They're the same person.
Ooh, Venom.
Can anybody hear me?
Oh, I like this.
James Perry?
Yeah.
Hot Shot Venomized?
I like that.
Oh, that's
All
pretty
right.
dope.
Morgan Iverson came in with Void versus King Supreme. Man, they are not going easy on you guys. Like, they're wanting to see some battles here. I
don't have enough time to draw that fight.
Yeah, I know.
That's a lot.
Void versus King Supreme.
Brad's saying he's with Morgan.
Yes, Jen, I got the camera mount. I listened to you. Look at all right, now everybody getting.
I'm gonna throw out a vigilant, or not a vigilant, a Void versus Smith.
Mr. Smith? Samaritan Smith.
Samaritan Smith. Give a little love.
And we're going to have to do this as a 2-part episode because there's no way we're going to be able to get them all.
No, we're not. Look, everybody throwing out their characters now. Daniel saying Liberty. Morgan's throwing out love.
They're throwing out
Lumberjack.
verses.
Hey,
Verses.
look.
I think we got to do one character.
Yeah, there's no way we can do them all, guys.
I like James' suggestion.
Well, I mean, like,
I thought these were going to be like single characters.
Single character. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Carla versus Vigilance.
I like that Venomized
We're
hot
gonna
shot.
have to do some headshots here, guys, because like it's Carla versus Dinah Girl. Danny J. Quick, you're funny.
Oh, he is funny. I'm down for Venomized hot shot with the time we have. All right.
So that's Jam. What do you want? You want Void?
Yeah, I want Void actually.
All right, Ryan, what do you got?
Everything else is like battles.
No, man. What do you want? Because everybody's coming in here with battles, and I'm like,
I'll do vigilance.
all right, I can see that.
All right. All right.
So I'm gonna pop out and just let my FSK iPad be the thing. This right here, and I'm gonna pop out.
Okay.
All right. At some point, though, Ryan, I will totally need you to pop back in so you can, or at least audio pop back in so we can.
No, I'm just gonna drop one camera because I got two up right now.
That's cool.
Make way for the darkness. Y'all terrible.
Make way for the darkness. Are we talking Void or are we talking Carla?
We're talking Ren, right? Oh wait, my bad. I thought we were announcing Ren like the wrestling entrance.
Oh wow.
All right. So how did you guys like we know Mike's story of FSK, but like how did you guys get get tied into FSK? How did you get introduced to it? How what made you fans? What made you want to come in? JM, let's go with you.
Basically, I just from tabling shows next to these guys and being, at same shows and all that, and then obviously supporting their Kickstarters, and that's how I was introduced to Hot Shot, as well as the FSK universe. And there were dynamic drawings. I really liked how, Mike's portrayal, that kinetic, like all the artwork is kinetic, all the character designs are kinetic, just so much energy. And I like the foreshortening that Mike uses. And so it's kind of hard. What I like about Freestyle Comics is that there's no way you're gonna not notice them. You know what I mean? So there's all this pop. So, and I'm drawn to that type of artwork. So, and energy.
Ren is in here. All right. So Ren, we were asking people what they want to like in the comments. Want people?
You can't hear us?
Are you plugged in? Try turning it off, turning it back on.
Am I the old guy who can't hear?
Yep.
Who can't work his machine? Oh man.
Hey, I should have had JM come over and set my cameras up. I've been there. I've seen his setup is nice.
I'm the guy, so here I am. Okay.
Can you hear us?
Get this off.
Nope, apparently not.
You need a gimbal.
Yeah.
Hey.
Could you guys hear me before?
Yeah, we could totally hear you, but you couldn't hear us.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we can hear you, Ray.
Okay. I got this new technology crap trying to be swanky. I can hear whoever's saying that.
Okay.
So what are we drawing?
So we put it out there in the comments, like for what people wanted to see you draw.
See from you.
And it was unanimous that everybody wanted to see you draw Carla versus Human. There were a few other suggestions. With,
I think that was all you, buddy.
No, it was totally in there. Go back through the comments; it's in there.
One person is unanimous, so I mean that technically you're not wrong, I suppose. But
there was also some suggestions of Void with Carla's face.
That sounds about right.
But so we're just gonna do one character though. But who's your favorite character, Ren? Out of the whole Hot Shot universe. Yeah.
Out of the whole Hot Shot universe, it might be Vigilance.
Ryan's doing Vigilance, so give us your second.
Void.
Okay. James doing Void. What else you got?
I don't know. Who's doing Hot Shot?
I'm doing my Hot Shot. He can do another Hot Shot.
You want to do another Hot Shot?
I mean, no, it's cool. If he wants to do visuals, let him do visuals. It's fine.
No. You know what I'll do? I'll surprise you guys.
All right.
I'll surprise
I'm
you
down
guys.
for a surprise. As long as it's not, you're drawing Hot Shot naked. I nobody wants to see Mike naked.
Yeah, nobody wants to see that. So that's not happening.
Still traumatized from what was that game?
Mass Effect.
Void wielding Thor's hammer.
Void wielding Thor's hammer? Y'all think he's worthy?
Yeah, that came from James Perry. He ain't worthy, man.
Isn't Thanos worthy? He picked it up before, right? In the comics?
Did he?
You know, there's been a lot of people who picked up Thor's hammer in the comics. So I'm just going to leave that one there. But Ren,
I think Void would be worthy. He's completely committed to his objective.
Yeah, but it's not about
that
being
doesn't mean
whatever.
he's worthy.
That's another universe. Get out of here, Thor.
Mike said, "Oh, Trump card." He's worthy.
Marvel's comics are on the verge of another collapse. Come on, guys. This is FSK.
Oh
Day.
man.
All right.
Right.
So Ren, before you popped in here, I was asking everybody, like, how did you get teamed up with FSK? I mean, we've even seen you drawn into the Hot Shot book. So
Yeah.
how did that all come about? Like, what's your tie into FSK?
Okay, so this is a long backstory. This is a villain story in the making. So Michael Watson, the star and absolute virtuoso that he believes he is, we went to college together, right? So all the stories in the comics leave out one crucial person who was always in the back of the panels, right? However, I digress. So when Mike, before FSK was even a blip in his underwear, I drew a few pages for his pre-story. I designed Hot Shot's very first costume. Am I right, Michael?
I think
Hello?
we lost Mike. Oh, he's muted.
Mike is gone?
He's muted.
Oh God, dog it. So
No, I'm gone.
So I did his first Hot Shot's first costume. The hoodie and the pull down mask, and he had me illustrate when Hot Shot gets his costume, which is like a backstory in one of his other stories. However, that's how I'm tied in with the FSK universe. I'm one of the background guys, man. I was there in the precept. I was, I helped, stop this from being aborted. When Carla was like, I don't want no baby. And Michael was like, no, I want to be a good guy and I want to keep the baby. We got to keep Hot Shot. We got to keep Hot Shot. And she was like, no, get rid of it. Because she's a jerk.
Carla is the villain.
Carla is always the villain, man. Carla has always been the villain.
She supposedly has her reason.
Yeah, listen. Love makes you see stupid things.
Ow!
Hey, you see what Love did to Kanye? You see what Love did to Kanye, man. You can't tell me that dude. Hey, he went from I'm not saying she's a gold digger to I married the biggest gold digger on the internet. So yeah, I'm in love.
All right. We kind of lost Ryan. I don't know if he can still hear us or talk, but Ryan, you still there?
Oh shoot, this might be.
Yep.
Muted his mic or his camera.
No, he's still there.
Oh, there
I'm
he
still
is.
here. No, I'm backstage, y'all. My other camera's backstage.
Oh.
Okay.
He went back out.
Yeah.
You gotta bring that one in.
Which one?
The one that's grayed out.
Oh, which one?
That one you were just on, I think.
That one?
Boom! Boom!
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
So Jen said that, Ren, I wish I could reach through the screen and smack you across the face right now. Danny J.
Aw,
Quick said
she's so sweet.
Carla is Kanye.
Carla is Kanye.
Carla is Kanye?
Man, that's harsh. I can't even go that far. That's mean.
Y'all
To
so
Kanye.
What's Russell's?
That's a diss to Kanye.
Russell, what's his?
I know.
He said he wanted to know if we were going to be done at 1:10. I don't know what his time's on.
Oh, I don't know what Russell is. We'll be done. Like this panel will be over when it's supposed to be.
Oh no, it won't.
PT. Okay.
Jen says, "Man, Mike, I really need me over there to do tech support." I ain't gonna say she's wrong, but you know, I can't do any better here.
I'm not gonna turn away a helping hand if it was here. But we've been doing all right.
Yeah, we've been doing all right.
Yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good.
Except for Old Man Ren, who couldn't figure out how to, you know, plug in.
He said,
Get off my lawn.
Did we lose Ryan again? Dang.
No, Ryan's drawn. Did we lose him again? We got most epic. Oh, he's got kicked out. Here it comes.
All right, Ryan. Before you get kicked out again,
I
for
keep
talking
getting
badly
kicked
about.
I keep getting kicked out.
Before you get kicked out for talking badly about Kanye, like I do with Affleck, how did you get connected with FSK? What's your tie-in?
I know Mike since forever. I grew up with his wife, Carmen Watson. We were neighbors for like 14 years. So I've known Carmen forever. I know Mike through school, and I've known Mike forever. I'm not part of FSK, but like I've always stayed in touch with Mike. So like we've been friends forever. So and I followed him through through all his stuff and what he's created, and it's been pretty epic as he is epic. So
that was nice.
So it's been pretty great to watch this whole entire brand grow. All the comics and the heroes that's come out of it. It's been pretty dope to see. And he also married Carmen, so that's pretty dope as well.
He definitely got the better end of the deal there.
Yeah, because I love Carmen.
I will pass that on to her.
She's the best.
Yeah, she's pretty fresh.
Yeah, she went down a couple of grades to get Mike.
No, Ren!
Hey, it was gonna come. He can only be nice for so long.
I was about to say, if I was ever nice to Mike, he'd think something was wrong. So, you know, I'm not gonna change. I'm not gonna change, man. Hey, she downgraded for real.
Oh, all right. You ain't gotta keep going. I mean, damn.
Jen says,
"Oh,
that's because all of Ren's bicep muscles takes up the space where his brain should be." Man, she's harsh.
I got no. Hey, listen, I'm smart.
I had notes written down, like questions I was going to ask you guys. I totally trashed all those as I've been watching today because some of those were repeat questions. And while I know we got some new people in here, if they've been watching, they can go back and watch the other ones. It's a good day all the way around. Check out the scroll underneath down there at the bottom. You'll see the
hey, I need
where you can donate $1 for
my red
via
stuff.
PayPal or
I need a
Cash App or
R.
Venmo. You can also get the T-shirts.
R24,
or
R26.
the prints. They're exclusives for today. They're super awesome. Just before the panel started, I was ordering shirts for my whole family and I. So definitely get in on that. You can get the comics from Short Fuse Media.
Yep, the website's popping. We actually got the website going. We got the art auction going on with this link. So if the art that we've been showing is up for auction right now.
Hey Andy, how many shirts did you buy? I want to add you to the list.
I haven't clicked the cart yet, but it will be 4 shirts and 1 hoodie.
Oh, you guys see?
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Red's doing it right. Got his Brandon on with the hat.
I want to say thank you to Daniel. I call him Daniel because he sent it to me with a jacked up name on it. So I don't know that guy, but thank you to Daniel. Danny can kick rocks.
I had to make sure since you left us that you didn't forget about us.
I see. The love is there.
The love is there.
So, you guys have obviously got some ties in with Mike. Some of them long ties, some of them just since college, some more recently. Where do you guys want to go with helping FSK to continue to grow? I mean, not just little bits. What's your goal with helping out here today, besides getting Mike a buck?
Well, whoever wants to start.
Well, Mike, you always know if you ever need a penciler or a drawing, nigga, I'm always here for it.
I love it. As you know, always up ready.
So, Mike, before I tell you what it is that I want to accomplish, give me your email right now that you can look at while we're on here.
Oh man.
The Michael
Michael dot Watson
1999
at Gmail.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm sending you something. I would love for you to open it. And I want to see your face when you open it. Okay.
Brandon, is this gonna be content appropriate?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy.
You're sending something.
Yeah, I just sent you something. You'll like it.
Oh boy.
Look, I'm hoping that you love it, but I know you'll like it.
Let me
and it's appropriate for today. I've been working on it a couple days ago, and I've been stashing it away, and I haven't told you guys about it.
You're always doing that.
Yeah, that's my thing. That's my thing. So,
by the way, this Black Hot Shot shirt is available online right now for $13.
Yes, it is.
Oh, y'all can't even see her. My bad, guys.
Yeah, we can.
Y'all can't even see her.
Yeah, we can.
What I want to help Mike with is the same thing I've always wanted to help Mike with is to progress and get better.
Hold up. It's downloading right now.
Okay.
Look at that slender built little animated chibi ass little mother right there. Oh. He all super cell shaded.
Yeah, buddy.
Hey, I like them little cell shady.
So I've always been tough on Mike about
that is awesome.
Yeah, so I'm gonna send you the t-shirt one without the background so you can do your thing. So
all right, awesome. Thank you.
Oh man, not a problem. I expect everything back. So nothing's free.
Dang
But
it! Dang it! How that sweet moment was just snatched.
hey, man, I'm not sweet. I don't want to be good. I want to be evil. But you know, I've always been rough on Mike. I've always been tough on Mike, especially when he downs himself. And I've always been in Mike's corner. You know what I mean? And in his up times and his down times, I've always been, you know, behind Mike and in front of Mike and dodging bullets and blocking bullets for Mike and, you know, helping him, you know, move along as much as I can. And, you know, the same with him with me. So it's not gonna change, man. You know,
And we get that.
he's my little ugly brother. And he'll always be my little ugly brother, you know.
Hey, who came up with this Venomized hot shot? Because I'm really digging it.
That was. Hold on a second here.
James, all right.
I think.
Yes, it was. Hey, I want you to know that being nice is Ren McKenzie's kryptonite. That's why. Shut up. That's why it only happens in like 2 to 3 minute stints.
It physically hurts.
Yeah, like his heart and soul starts to open up. And then that mean, cranky ass little goblin on the inside shuts the door back. It's like, it's cold in here.
Mike, what you actually described was called a heart attack, not a not being nice.
Hey, it feels about the same, I suppose.
So what you're saying is it's about like when the Grinch's heart grows, except he rips his own heart out and says, "Don't you dare."
Hey, listen, I start squeezing it back. No, you won't.
See, that's weird, Mike, because Ren is always so super nice to me. He just comes up and gives me awesome hugs and
listen. I'm nice to people I like.
Hey, there it go.
But he's really mean to the people he loves.
Hey, I didn't say it.
I said it.
I didn't say it.
Well, guys, we only got a couple more minutes left up here, Andy.
All right, JM, what do you want to do to help Mike further along? Not just today, but like future, forever. Like
we're talking. I want to see Mike and all his cool properties get that Quan, you know, to quote Cuba Gooding Jr. I want to see his stuff optioned at Netflix and various studios and see it hit the next medium, you know, whether it be mobile apps, video games, you know, just you know, pop vinyl figures, get some of that Netflix action, especially all that nice animation that they've been doing. My kids and I love that type of stuff, so I think a lot of people would enjoy it if they saw Hot Shot and the crew, you know, on the next platform.
That would be dope.
That would be.
Yep.
And a lot of people in our community are being optioned as we speak. You know, if you think about it, how many every other week there's somebody else talking about they're in talks. So well, we gotta get Mike and them out there to the movers and shakers.
I appreciate that. The fact that I'm on a panel with people and so many people come out to help today just to be a part of FSKDAY or whatnot speaks volumes to how awesome everybody is, because that is a form of support, and I can't say thank you enough for it. I mean, I've got some of the coolest cats in town right now sitting down at the virtual table, drawing the freestyle comic characters.
Taking time out of their Saturday.
It's either this or I gotta do chores for the wife. So I was like,
well, I didn't have anything to do. I was already out, and I had to run to the store to get more markers for you. So I was like, man, I'm running late. My mom was like, you're running late. They thought we were on at 2. I was like, no, I'm only 5 minutes late.
Oh, yeah.
So how much time we got left, Mike? We got enough for one more question?
Yeah, you got time for one more question. After Andy's asked a question, we got to switch over to the next panel. But if you gentlemen are going to be working on these some more still, I would like to come back to you and like show progress.
I want to show mine right now.
Go ahead. I knew it. He said, I'm going to surprise you. I knew what the surprise was going to be.
His arm. See his fingers? Where's his fingers?
Jeez.
He shook hands with Roughhouse.
Did he?
Yeah, man. And then Roughhouse punched him.
Looks like he did more than punched him.
Instantly killed him.
Instant?
Instant, because he's so trash.
Man, wait till you see this Danny Cooper.
Listen, man, I hear you. I hear you. Again, you guys keep promising the ball, but I haven't got an invitation yet. There's no corsage coming. I didn't get a roses or anything. You just,
I'm pretty certain there was an invitation.
dance.
I'm pretty certain there was an invitation to draw the Human book. I'm pretty certain I was there.
Not for me, it wasn't.
All right, I'm going to show mine right now. You guys can take again at Venomized Hot Shot.
Oh, you got too much light, man.
Because I'm trying to get adjusted.
I'll show mine next.
Here. We got to do it the other way.
They can see mine as it's being inked right now, right?
Yeah.
Or I need to put up more.
Yeah. Oh shoot.
I'll wait for Ryan to go.
Go ahead, Ryan. Show yours.
This is what we got.
Beautiful.
I dig that, Ryan. That's awesome.
Hey, Ryan does so good on like costuming and fabric and stuff. The way he does that, it looks like movie set costumes when he gets done with it because he puts his own spin on it.
Yeah.
That
and
is
his letters are super crazy as well. He did this Killer Croc. Oh man, I love that Killer Croc.
That Killer Croc was my favorite.
I know, right?
Hey, so Ryan.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if we know each other or not. I can't see your face, but I've got a character. I have people draw, and I'm gonna ask you to do that for me, and you tell me what you charge and all that
right,
off camera if you want.
Tell the person that's trying to get in
For
the
sure.
rooms off the screen in a few minutes.
I got kicked.
Somebody got kicked.
Private chat. Oh.
All right, Jim, we can see you inking right now. Let's.
Here's the Venomized Hot Shot.
Ooh.
Did I get
Love
kicked?
it, Mike.
I'm gonna
Frozen.
and we'll see if Veronica could color it if she's free.
That is awesome.
Share all that real quick.
Oh, there it is.
JM, sorry, bring yours back up there to the screen. Oh, that is sweet.
Yeah, that's sweet.
That is awesome, man.
All right, gentlemen. If you guys are going to be working on those for a bit, I'm going to extend out links and check back in with you regularly throughout the rest of the show, so we can see what Jesus, man, to see what happens with what you're creating. What is it? What's a Kickstarter?
Yeah, I think that's our next one, Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you got it. All right. I want to thank you guys for doing this. These look awesome, and I can't wait to see the more progress that you guys make throughout the day on these or whatnot. All right.
I gotta go reference some pot bellies now.
Yeah,
I'll send you mine, Mike.
All right, I gotta get the next panel, Raleigh. Andy, thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Mike.
And we're gonna see you in a little bit anyway, again, right?
I think so.
Yep. All right, thank you guys, and I'll send out the links to see what else you guys got going on with these.
Okay.
All right.
Later.
Boom.
Later.
FSK, where's that at? There it goes. All right, so we're back, and we're gonna roll right into our next panel, which is what's a Kickstarter. So if you have questions about Kickstarter, how that works, and all that stuff, we put together a great panel list for this event right now, and you're gonna want to take your notes. So let's get it cracking here. What's up, Haley?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good. New member of the Freestyle Komics family. She's editorial over on the Emerald Quest book and helping out with some other venues. She's a real smart and classy lady. Met her at a comic book convention. She knows her things about some comic book conventions and panels. She'll be hosting this one. I got her in host on this one because this lady loves a comic book and she loves a Kickstarter. She's absolutely like a super avid comic book Kickstarter fan. So I think this is more of a joy than an assignment for her. All right, I'm about to pass them all off to you, Haley.
All right. Looks like we've got everybody. Awesome. So yeah, this is What's a Kickstarter? I know that a lot of us know what a Kickstarter is just on our end as a consumer. And you guys have all had successful Kickstarters and potentially failed ones. I don't know about those. And we just want to know from your end, from the creator's end, what's a Kickstarter? So, Russell, you want to start out?
I've never heard of a Kickstarter at all. I have no idea what that is.
Kickstarter is a way to fund books. I use it a lot. I used it 4 times this year. It raised over $70,000, over $200,000 on the platform overall. I guess the one misconception that people have about Kickstarter is that you are just begging for money and you're not getting anything in return. So the main thing I like about Kickstarter is you must offer a product after a Kickstarter. So you're basically pre-ordering a product before it launches. Sometimes a long time before it launches, sometimes weeks before it launches. But basically you are, it's a pre-order platform where you're trying to solicit money to make a book or a comic book or, anything. A lot of creative projects, a dance recital, a bunch of things.
Kat, what about you? What's your take on them? And I just got your stuff, by the way.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Yep.
Yeah. I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, I feel like that's such a big question. And I definitely agree with Russell. I feel like it's a great pre-order platform. It is a way to fund your book as well, but I think it depends on how you use it. And I think it's a really good business model. And that's why we're seeing not just indie creators like us, but big comic book companies like Boom or big creators like Scott Snyder using this and seeing that there's other avenues just besides Diamond to get your books out there. And Kickstarter is a really great way to do that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I was going to jump in and just say that I used a Kickstarter, my first time ever in August of this year. And I had a really great time just learning the ropes in terms of just like what to do, what not to do. And also the building community aspect to me is really amazing because there's so many people that are on Kickstarter solely to support independent content. And when you have people that are that hungry for new stuff, I think that it's really a great market to tap into and also just to get to know more supporters. And just like she was saying a second ago, that the bigger companies are now noticing what we have noticed for years, that this is really like a resource that we're just really starting to tap fully and 100%.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying. Lonzo, Newton, do you have anything to add to that?
Hey,
Okay,
I'd like to first say thanks for having me on. It's an honor to be on here with such great people. I would say Kickstarter it's a beautiful place to build a fan base and to meet people that you would have no way of contacting outside of cons and just regular social media. So it definitely has those great aspects to it, and it can really help you build your brand and build a solid trust with customers because you're delivering product. They feel like they can trust you after your first campaign, and most of those people, they come back and it continues to keep growing from that standpoint. So it's definitely a beautiful thing for independent creators.
Yeah, and I agree with everything that everyone said about the Kickstarter platform. It is a great platform for pre-sales, but also just as a consumer of Kickstarter. Like before I even started my first campaign, I backed a lot of comic book campaigns, and just as a person who's a comic book collector, the platform is excellent too. Just to be able to find things that you normally wouldn't be able to find in a comic book store, creators who are super passionate about what they're doing, and just things that the gatekeepers aren't, deciding whether or not you're gonna like it. So from the consumer side, I think Kickstarter, great platform.
Yeah, I agree with all of you guys. And I mean, like Mike said at the beginning, there's a reason I got put as the host of this, because I have been on Kickstarter way too much since the quarantine and everything. I've put way too much money, but I love being able to find all of these amazing indie creators such as yourselves. And it's awesome that there's a platform like that for consumers and for creators. And looks like we have a question from Danny J. Quick. What's the worst part about Kickstarter? What's something that there was a learning curve, or you just outright were like, I wish that they would change this?
Oh, is it about it's on Kickstarter platform, or just the worst part of a Kickstarter? Because it's easily fulfillment. Like, it's the worst.
True. Hands down.
Not only is it the worst so not only is it the worst because like there's just so many failure points, like that addresses can be wrong. I mean, and things I didn't even realize. So I've been doing this a long time, and I just got my first return because someone died between the time the Kickstarter ended and when I sent them the book. So there's literally just a million failure points into that. That being said, there's nothing like actually signing the books and getting it out and then having someone get it. But it's just there's a lot of like once the Kickstarter ends until it gets in their hands is like that's really I think where all the money is made. Like that's how you really differentiate yourself from other people, because most people do it poorly and most people hate it. And even though it's bad, like if you can make that part fun or that part good, like you really have something.
Amen.
I agree with fulfillment. It's as Haley said, she just got our books, and it just took me like hours and hours and hours, and that's with help to get it all fulfilled. But it's also kind of the best part too, like Russell was saying. You get to sign the books. You know the thing you worked on for so long and so hard is getting to people who really want that book, which is really cool. From a platform standpoint, one thing I love about Kickstarter is that they keep growing. They keep trying to build on people's suggestions. Like one thing we're seeing is like add-ons. I feel like that was always a big thing. It's like, when are you going to add add-ons? You have third parties doing it. So it's nice that it seems like they're trying to add add-ons directly from Kickstarter. I would also say maybe mentally while a Kickstarter is going on is kind of the worst part. Like the roller coaster ride of I just got 50 backers in whatever an hour or whatever, and then like, oh, I don't have a backer today. So I think that roller coaster ride is definitely like the best and worst part of doing a Kickstarter. It's just like a very emotional journey in those 30 days to get funded or to meet your goals.
Yeah, I agree. The roller coaster part is the hardest part, because it's really a mental game, Kickstarter. Because I'm one of those people when I start something, I go like full throttle, right? Like, boom, let's go. So every day, you're like, okay, what can I do different, or what should I be doing next? And when you're in that mindset and you're doing it at 100 or 110%, after a while it becomes draining. So the ups and downs of that, is kind of crazy, because like one day, you'll reach your goal, and then next day, a backer, who pledged $200 just drops, and you're like, oh no, I have to start. I'm starting backwards now. But and then another thing too is the after the Kickstarter. I'm talking about like directly, like once the campaign's over, there's that a week or two where you're still trying to like recoup from it, and like, you feel like besides just the mental part, it almost feels physical too. Like, oh, I need to sleep more. It's like, so it's like it's just crazy. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, Newton?
Yeah.
So like you did $30,000 for your last campaign, right? Like that had to be more than you expected. Like, did you feel like my problem is even when it's going as well as I thought or better, I still am bitter that it's not doing better. Did you have that on your campaign, or did you have a chance to like just appreciate it while the time was going on and ticking down?
So yeah, like you said, we hit 30,000, and I didn't really expect to hit 30,000. You know, so that was a surprise. So it was more of like I was in that mindset where I was appreciating it. But I definitely know what you're talking about, because my previous campaigns weren't $30,000. So I definitely understand that mindset that you're talking about, though.
I hear that. Yeah, I would definitely kind of add in that the roller coaster ride's a real thing. I think it's emotional, it's physical. I mean, you're dreaming about it. You know, you're not going to bed at a regular time. I mean, you eat and breathe everything Kickstarter during the month, at least for me in that particular space. And the whole 30 days was a lot. And I was always thinking, what can I do differently to continue to keep them engaged? And this was one of those conversations that me and Russell had during the middle of the campaign, that keeping people engaged, you know, helping them understand that, hey, we there's still a lot more to go. We still have lots of other cool things that we want to show you. So it was always trying to think outside the box to maintain that interest and maintain that excitement. So, I mean, I was posting a lot. I was direct messaging people all over Twitter, over every single, trying to cover every single basis and thinking, how can I cover that? And then once we did close, we had a whole bunch of like credit cards that like didn't go through, and I think that was another pain point where I'm just like, oh man, like so close with, but even though it was a small amount, it was still like messaging people like, hey, did you know your credit card bounced? Some people didn't get back. Some people said, oh hey, you know, I lost my job, I can't pay for stuff. So like there's always like little things that it's like expecting unexpected. What can go wrong will go wrong, but there's way more positive when you have a great product and you have a great support base than there is negative. But there's still that little bit that kind of just irks you a little bit. So I would definitely say that it's still, there's so much that can be done with it, and I think that even with some of the pain points, it's worth it every time.
Yeah, I would say for me, it's definitely the roller coaster ride, trying to reinvent yourself every day, every week, and understanding that trying to be in 10 different places at the same time as one person, because every platform you kind of have to market differently. Like Facebook, you can't market the way you market on Twitter, or you can't market the way you market on Instagram. So every day I'm thinking about, okay, this is how they react on Instagram. This is how they react on Facebook. This is how they react on Twitter. This is how my email blast reacts. So every day I'm strategizing. It's almost like preparing for a fight. You know what I'm saying? Like preparing for the unexpected and and what could happen. Drop pledges. Like as soon as I see a drop pledge, I try to figure out how I can get that exact money back. You know what I'm saying? Like what that person just dropped $200. How can I get $200 right now? And so, I mean, I'm just constantly readjusting and just trying to reinvent yourself is really difficult in a 30-day span. 1 week is easy, but 30 days trying to get people re-excited over and over again is a crazy thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know, I ran 4 campaigns this year. I ran a 10, a 14, a 24, and a 31-day campaign. So I've run literally across the gambit, and I can tell you the absolute most fun is a 17-day campaign, or 10 or 17 days. Like there's none of the lull, especially a 10-day. The minute that your lull is over, like it's over. The campaign's over, and so you don't have to do a lot of that stuff. The last one I ran was 31 days, and it's too long. It's too long to do a Kickstarter. Like I'm too chicken to like run a 24-day campaign that's not like an anthology where I don't have dozens of people like working on it. But God, it's too long. Like it's too long. I was messaging people like the 24th day because I have stamina. This is my 13th campaign, and I'm convinced that like a month is too long. 24 days was like just enough time when like I was about to be gassed. But like the minute that I went past, like 22 days, I was like, oh my God, there's still 10 days left of this thing. And you can't just I mean, I'm not allowed. I don't allow myself to be like, well, I'm happy with wherever the campaign is. So like, whatever, it's just going to be like I have to push myself for those 10 days. But I feel like I tell people that unless you have a big book or like something that you really, really like are willing to put every amount of effort and marketing muscle in, a 17-day campaign is just lovely. And I think more people should do them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was just about to bring this up. We have a question from Danny Cooper. He says, as you mentioned, mainstream companies and creators like Keanu Reeves' project are now looking to use Kickstarter. What potential impacts do you see in the comic industry with mainstream using Kickstarter as a direct-to-market solution, circumventing need for diamond and comic shops? And what are the impacts to indie creators crowdfunding?
Such a big question, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on, well, I don't know, like a whole bunch of different podcasts answering the same question, so I'm gonna quickly take a stab at it. But I mean, how do I say it? I think it is a good thing because I mean, I think three of us, though me, Newton, and Russell were running during the time of the Keanu Kickstarter, and as well as Scott Snyder and some of the big guys were doing stuff. And I personally think it brought more people to the platform, so more people were seeing some of our stuff through the recommendation engine, and they were again surfing for great stuff. And when you were getting a backer update from one of those big one of those big campaigns, most of the time you'd see Newton's or you'd see mine or you'd see Greg's or you'd see Russell's, and that type of stuff really does help because again, it's showing that, hey, there's this huge volume of people that are coming, maybe that are just regular local comic book shop buyers, or they're con goers. They're coming to the platform when they weren't there before. So I do think it's more of a positive thing than it is a negative, but I do understand that some people are saying, hey, big companies already have the money. Why would they come here and try to take from the pot? But at the same time, I just think that there's a little more positive than negative to it.
I definitely agree on that one for sure.
Yeah.
Who was talking, Newton or?
Me.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So I definitely agree with TJ. I believe it has its goods and its bads. More so good. It brings more attention to the platform, and it brings more buyers in that may not know anything about Kickstarter. Like, there's a lot of people that supported our Kickstarter that never used Kickstarter in their life, don't know what it is. So when big people like Keanu Reeves and Scott Snyder bring a whole new audience over, they can stumble upon our stuff, and that definitely helps. On the other side, I think the indie community really has to do what we've been doing and continue to support each other and share each other's work and keep our names relevant, because the more big people are going to come in, they're going to start overshadowing all of us, and they're going to get those top spots, the Kickstarter We Love spots. All of those are going to be taken by the big wigs soon. So it's up to us to beat the algorithm and continue to share, post, and just pushing each other, because it is the indies versus the mains at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
And like, that's something that I've noticed, having backed a bunch of indie creators. I love the sense of community with indie creators on Kickstarter. There were so many times when I would get an update or a message about something I backed, and they would say, hey, I've got this friend who's also doing a Kickstarter right now. Here's a little blurb about what they're doing. Go check them out. Like, I just love that there's this community on Kickstarter.
Yeah, so I have a little bit of a different take on all of this stuff. Is like, so I also do novels, and so there's a sort of rule in novels that you want to launch a novel if you're going for like a bestseller run when there are very few books that are launching that are big, because that book can only take up one spot, and so I worry way less about boom and whatever. And frankly, big companies have been using Kickstarter forever. I mean, Pebble Watch used Kickstarter until they went under. So it's like, I don't have any, like, my fear is more the scope of how many Kickstarters are launching at any one time. And the fact that there's almost 300 Kickstarters right now, like launching right now, like today, right now. And so you can only back Keanu Reeves' Kickstarter one time. Like, once you paid that money, it's gone. But when you have 300 projects instead of 150 or like 175, which we've been on the platform before, that's when you really have you have to disperse your money more across more projects. So if you have $50, maybe you disperse it $1 across 50 projects instead of $5 across 10 projects or $10 across 5 projects. I agree with what Lonzo said about supporting the industry and like supporting each other and like having these little pods that you're like and you're all trying to like help each other. But I'm much more concerned with the success of Keanu Reeves bringing hundreds of like new creators to the platform that are all launching simultaneously without bringing more backers. Because if we're all at the same pool, like we're all at the same with the same backers, then like 300 projects will get dispersed worse than 200 projects will, or with less money. So we have to really be thinking about like how can we bring new backers into the ecosystem so that we're not just all sitting in the same pool with the same people. Like we're actively trying to find people who have never used Kickstarter before and bring them in to make the fact that we're growing at the platform is growing at 20% a month. We have to be growing new backers at 20% a month, or like we're going to see the cannibalization of each other's projects as people are spreading their money out across more.
Yeah, and I got one more thing to add too. So I was reading something from a post by Tyler James from Comics Launch, and he made one good point, which was the reason why. Well, one of the reasons why the big Kickstarter campaigns like Keanu Reeves is good for everyone is because of just the money wise, right? Because Kickstarter, they make their money off the fees that they get from the campaigns. Now, when you consider there's a huge percentage that fails, Kickstarter doesn't get money from that, right? But big, huge campaigns like Keanu Reeves, it funds Kickstarter as a platform itself. And if you want to keep using that platform and if you want Kickstarter to still be around, you need these huge campaigns. Just earlier this year, Kickstarter had layoffs, right? So they're suffering financially. So, well, I'm not sure how much they're suffering, but just because the fact that they had layoffs, it kind of indicates that they're not doing, as well as they should be. So big campaigns like that help fund Kickstarter financially. So that's one way of looking at it, instead of saying, oh, well, these big guys are coming along and they're going to ruin things. But on the flip side, they're helping keep the platform afloat financially.
Well, you're like, by having big things in the comic platform, you are showing them to allocate more resources within Kickstarter to this platform, just like they do with board games, just like they do with like tech. The more big campaigns you can bring in, the more money your category is driving, the more funds that the more Kickstarter can pay attention to that category and do more outreach, et cetera, hire more people for it.
But even if you don't look at the financial part, I think you could look at how many people, let's say, a Boom campaign's bringing from Keanu Reeves, his fan base. We were talking about like, oh, you have the recommendations on the bottom, but then also I feel like it might bring people that are more Wednesday warriors to Kickstarter and realize, oh, there's indie books here. I might really like this idea. So I think either way, I do think hopefully we're also getting more people to the platform and them backing up more stuff too. But then that goes into, I think the bigger argument is that I think that these companies and these people also need to back up Kickstarters. They can't just see Kickstarter as an avenue to just be on and not support the ecosystem like we've been talking about. And one thing I think Boom has done, and I think you do learn the lesson as you go along. When Boom started their campaign, they didn't really have anything backed, and I think they were really learning the groove. But then just this week, they gave $100 to lower first time Kickstarter people for 100 projects or whatever it was, and they gave a lot of money to it. So I think also learning the lesson as a big publisher, a big creator, and also supporting the ecosystem while you're also not having a Kickstarter going on either. You have to keep supporting other people and being part of the community as well.
Great. I wanted to quickly just add something because I was thinking about some of the stuff you guys were saying in terms of growing the ecosystem with non-Kickstarter or non-regular Kickstarter people. I think what I've kind of experienced thus far with a lot of the new people who come to my campaign as regular fans is that they don't really understand the platform 100%. So they kind of walk into it thinking it's like a store. So like you add something to your cart, you add your address, and you pay for it, and you leave and one and done. And I find that some of those people are almost a little bit more challenging to track down later on, because it's like, oh hey, I still need your address, and I still need to know what T-shirt size you want, all these little things. So I guess maybe as a question to all of us, do we think that if they change the platform to be more like a store and less like, you're pledging to an amount and then it comes out of your checking account 14 days from now, it comes out immediately, would that grow the fan base more, will grow the community and the platform more with people who are in that regular space of just buying things via like a shop type of mentality?
Man, if they just put all of the money in escrow that you got in a campaign and like send it out or dissolve it afterwards, that would solve so many problems with like your cards not working 30 days later. I have people every campaign say, oh, I got my card stolen like in the middle of the campaign and I'm still waiting for a thing. They just took the money out when you got it, kept it in escrow or returned it. If it didn't work, God, that would make things so easy. But I don't think that you can just make it a store, because it's not a store. It's like part of the reason Kickstarter looks and functions differently is because it's not a store. Like you can't just put something in a cart and then say, I'm going to get this thing, because the things have to be ordered. Oftentimes things have to be like resized, or maybe there are extra things that happen throughout the campaign. So I would love it if they took all the money and put it in escrow, but I would not want to see a change to how the store functions, because I don't want it to feel like a store, because it's not one.
I think one thing they could fix is to put the surveys first might be very helpful, because I think a lot of people that are not as internet savvy, not as comic book savvy, or again, just not knowing of the world of Kickstarter, they get extremely confused of like, oh, again, I had to put my address? Where's my books? It's like, but you never filled out your survey. And I think because they just get confused, they might have like not remember, like we were talking about before, like, oh, they thought they already bought the book because they backed it up. And I think a big thing to hopefully help people that are not into Kickstarter as much is, get their addresses when they sign up and give the backing. Just like make it in that regard, like ordering online and putting it into a cart. It's just like all the information you need. Let's do it first and not do it, 30 days later or whatever.
So now, how would that work though if the project doesn't fund? Are they just going to send that money back, or?
Yeah, I think they should just refund it. Yeah.
Okay.
And then before you ship the book, you just like that you send a thing that says, is this your address still? Because that's the one problem with like the thing that we're talking about with web stores is, I just finished a Kickstarter. I have multiple people who 6 months, 8 months after the campaign ended, just filled out their survey today. And so I have to go to the store. But also, like, I just finished a Kickstarter. I am getting the proof of my book in Tuesday or Wednesday. And then the book's not going to be here until January. So, like, what do you do? Like, you have to take, I would rather not get their address and just wait to get the address when they are going to get the book. But I think that at least you want to like get the address and then send an email that's like, hey, I'm about to send these books now. Is this done? Like that's what BackerKit does, which I've used for every campaign. And they send a thing that's like, we were about to ship your book. Is this still your address?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Russell, I like that idea about the escrow. I wish Kickstarter would do that. That would solve a lot of problems and make more money for them too, because they're fee based, right? So if they they'll get a larger percent of what the payments that actually get processed. And then the second thing too is what you guys were talking about is the idea of backers getting confused as to when they get their products. Yeah, I've experienced that in the first couple of Kickstarters I've had. So I always make sure that, like, I know a lot of people are just like me. Like, I read real quick sometimes, so like I miss details, and so like most people, they'll probably like read so quick that they won't even realize like, oh, I'm not getting this until January, not when the Kickstarter ends.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually take a lot of pain in like explaining people that like as soon as the campaign ends, I'll tell them like, okay, now that the campaign's end, you'll be getting the book, this date. So I go through like, I do a lot to make sure I explain to people, okay, this is what to expect. If the book is finished, I'll let them know it's finished and that they'll get it as soon as possible when it's printed. And if it's not finished, we're still working on it. There are pages to go, and then it'll get printed, and then you guys will get the book. But yeah, communication is key with your customers or your backers.
I mean, I like Russell's idea about an escrow, but coming from an accounting standpoint, there would be so many things that would have to be done to be able to work that out. And like Visa and Amex and stuff probably aren't going to be okay with you technically holding some of their money if they are later going to have to take it back because it doesn't end up being funded.
Well, that's what Indiegogo does. That's what GoFundMe does. Like they take the money out immediately. So, I mean, I'm not saying that there are not, like, I'm not Kickstarter, so I don't have to worry about those things. I can just say like, these are things that I think would be good. But here's the problem with that, to like play devil's advocate at my own point is I think one of the reasons that people are spend happy on Kickstarter often is because you don't have that money taken out. So you're like, $5, $8, $10, yes, $500, $300, whatever. It doesn't matter because like this money's not real. And then like the end of a month, people are like, oh, what jerk just spent $700 on Kickstarter this month? But you don't have to like think about it because you're not paying for it unless it funds. And so technically nothing is funded when at least I back usually on the first day. So like nothing is funded. So maybe I won't have to pay this money anyway. So it's like free money for me to just support.
Yeah, it's out of sight, out of mind. You're like, okay, that's a problem for future me. That money is a future me issue. Yeah.
Yeah, I do have a question though, because there's a thing that is starting to happen on Kickstarter as a backer, and I'm really annoyed by it. And it's people starting to charge shipping after the campaign ends. It's like I have a big problem with this. Like, just because I don't read stuff often, especially when it's my friends, I just like whatever, $40. Yeah, I want the book. And then like 3 months later, I'll get a thing that's like $8 for shipping. And I think this is like a really bad way to run a business because it makes people feel annoyed. Like when they're like, oh, cool. Like when someone has backed a thing, once the campaign is done, all I want them to have is good vibes from me. But I seem to be seeing a lot of people, bigger campaigns especially, but all campaigns that are like now charging me like 6 months later for money. And does anyone else have an opinion on that? Like, especially you, Haley, because like you're back on the backer side. Does anyone else hate this as much as I do?
I mean, with it if it's an unexpected charge, then of course I have issue with it not being stated up front. Like, I feel like if it's something that, hey, this all of a sudden came up that, all of a sudden shipping is so much more expensive and we need some help with it. Okay, yeah, I can kind of see that. But if the creator goes in knowing that this is going to be the case and they're not upfront about it, then it's a little more like, hey, that's not so cool.
Oh no, I'm saying like people actually put it on their, even if they put it on their pledge, I don't read that pledge. Like I'm just hitting the button. I don't know. Like I have a big problem with people that are doing this. I think it's like not just annoying, but it's like a bad practice for Kickstarter, on Kickstarter. I don't know. Like, but yeah, I should clarify that. Like I'm talking about people who actually put it in their pledge blurb that says, I will charge shipping later. Because again, it's usually 6 months later that I'm getting the thing that I've gotten it.
I feel bad for international shipping for that one. Because that's like always like, you never know what it's going to end up being because, it's harder to figure out. So if they have that in your international, God bless your heart, because that could be like so much money on your side and you might not even realize it.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare for international shipping because that would be crazy. But I think, do they have an option to specify whether or not you want to do that for international or domestic?
They probably have an option for it because usually they have an option to say anywhere in the world or just United States. I'm guessing they probably do.
But yeah, to Russell's point, yeah, I when I first encountered that, I really hated it because like you said, it's a surprise, and now it's like, okay, you're charging me what, $10 to ship a floppy, you know? So it's like, if it was like a graphic novel and a couple other things, then I would understand. But what I found though is that first, people are actually acknowledging that people are backers are annoyed by this, so they'll write a little friendly blurb that says we'll be considerate and won't charge you the arm and leg for shipping. They'll say something to that effect. And then I've always seen maybe a couple of situations where it was kind of necessary. I think Keanu Reeves campaign was like that because you had to I think based on how many books you bought, because the campaign is not just for one book. I think it's like 3 books, right? So I think shipping varied depending on the tier. And I think their situation was a little complicated. So in a situation like that, I could see why shipping would be calculated later. But yeah, it's annoying. I think it's something that should definitely be avoided if you can. But if you can't, then do your best to charge a fair shipping price.
Okay, we've got to be wrapping up, but if y'all could say, like, where can we find you? Where can we get your stuff? Do any of y'all have a Kickstarter that's going on right now? Like, people want to know what you guys are doing and how to find out more. So please.
So I just finished up my Kickstarter. I think it ended on Tuesday. I'm so happy. I decided to take a week off, you know what I'm saying, and chill. Much needed rest, but I'm back on it on Monday. But I just want to thank everybody that supported and shared our post and kept it all the way concrete throughout. I'm excited to get the books out to everybody. And if you're looking to purchase our issue 1s, you can get them at www.concretecomics.com. And we will be uploading the issue 2s on there pretty soon. So thank you, everybody that's been supporting Concrete Comics.
Yeah, and for myself, you can find me on social media, right there by my handle is Dream Fury Comics, and you can see it right there in the right there. Or you can go to dreamfurycomics.com.
Absolutely.
For me,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
you go, TJ. No, you go.
No worries. Go ahead.
Yeah, for me, follow me at Comic Uno, at Etsy store at Comic Uno as well. Also doing a Kickstarter November 9th. Hopefully the link, the pre-launch link will be available soon. And that's for Like Father Like Daughter issue 7 and for the whole collection as well. But that's the best place to find me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's definitely a pleasure to be on the stage with all you guys. I really love your work and admire all the stuff you have going on. And again, my name is TJ Sterling, presently artist of Ray Comics. You can find me pretty much on all platforms at Ray Comics, RAE Comics, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. And we got tons of great comics, so hopefully you guys can check it out.
And I'm Russell Nolte. I will also say thank you. All y'all's books are awesome. So go and check all of it out. You can get some free books, the free #1s of Ichabod, our Cthulhu book, some samples from the Cthulhu book, our Katrina book at russellnolte.com by joining our mailing list. I do about 4 Kickstarters a year in the novel and comic category. I might try and squeeze in a 5th one for a book that I actually drew in November. But definitely going to do the 3rd Ichabod volume in March. So go to russellnolte.com and sign up and you get all the info about that.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming to this. I had a wonderful time talking with you all, and I can't wait to find more things that you're doing.
Right. Thanks. Bye.
Thank
See you guys later.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
Sound like I got some more people to get on the chat and draw this season. So I'll slide in y'all inboxes for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, everybody, for coming on, man. Really
You got
appreciate
it.
it. Another great panel. Good job, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're about to roll into the next one. Haley, you did good.
Thank you. Nervous as all get out, but
hey, but you got through it. You got one more to do tonight, and that one should be easy.
yeah, that one should be pretty easy.
All right, awesome. So we'll see you in a little bit, Haley.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. All right, so we got our next panel coming up, and it is happening at 4:15. This is all about making a story flow. All about making a story flow. We know about that, Danny. We make several stories flow. Veronica, that's what we can. We do what we can. This has been a great day, man. We're having a lot of good fun out here. I want to appreciate everybody that is. I appreciate everyone that is watching live with us right now. That's been here with us all day. Danny Cooper, we're at how much did you say?
Right now, $413.
We're at $413. That is including T-shirt purchases, comic book purchases, print purchases, donations. So thank you. Let's see if we can get to 500 before the end of this panel, because I got a nice little gift for it that's perfect for it. So I'm having a good time here. We just had lunch, Mr. Cooper and I went and got some Little Caesars pizza for the fam. He's got his kid over here. My kids are here. Veron's here. We just smashed out. And I will recommend Little Caesars pizza, the stuffed crust pepperoni bestest. It's the best stuffed crust pizza you're going to have.
It's ridiculous.
So good. So good. All right, what else? Oh, we still got a little bit of time here. Let's get into some of this branding. If you did not know, branding is a reoccurring theme here. We are all about it. You know what? I'm actually going to play another Carla testimonial for you guys today, because that infamous Everybody Hates Carla panel went in. Let's go with my friend.
My name is Latasha, and yes, I will be joining you today to speak on behalf of Carla.
Awesome. So, and you want to tell everybody how we know each other?
Yeah, of course. We have been friends since school, Cleveland School of Arts. That's where it all started, where I saw the makings of Mr. Watson as he is now. Awesome. I got to see him from the beginning, everybody.
She did. The groundwork was all happening at CSA.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's get to it, because I don't want to take up a whole bunch of your time and whatnot. How would you feel about that?
I take into account the fact that initially she said that she wasn't able to do it because he lied. Mm-hmm. Then they came back to try to work it out. And now he's caught up in this whole, I had coffee with another superhero. It was not an emergency. And he did not let her know in enough time. Mm-hmm. So now she's just completely against it because he wasn't honest.
Right.
I feel like at this point, she has now flip-flopped, because at the end of the day, if she's supposed to be so understanding to his title, mm-hmm. things happen. And as a superhero, he can't walk around with a little watch and a reminder that says, make sure you call Carol to let her know that you're going to be late or something. That's just not in his repertoire as a superhero. So I feel like even though she thinks that she's able to handle that, she isn't. So you're not really able to accept all that comes with him being a superhero, because his time will never be yours. Mm-hmm. Because it always will go to the people that are in need most at that time. So we can hope that he can isolate a slot for you, but again, it's never promised. And women, outside of understanding their man's job, you still have women who have regular men who do 18-hour shifts and complain that they're not getting enough time, even though this is the person that pretty much is the sole provider of the household. Mm-hmm. So while you can have an issue, you really can't have an issue, because this is what you signed up for. So I feel like she cannot. Yeah, I don't think that's a relationship that she really could have successfully. He probably would do better off being with the best friend.
All right, and we're back. Those Carla testimonies are going to keep happening today. If I've learned one thing about Hotshot, people love this Carla situation. And I can't wait for y'all to see how this mother gonna unravel. It's gonna be great. Again, having a good time here. You know what? I feel like, let's see what we got popping. Now, in case you do not know, we are taking donations. We are trying to raise funds. I will have a total again very soon after I check the store. But we're trying to get as much funds as we can to help us make more comic books. It is what we do in this industry, making comic books. We have a good time doing it. And we want to continue doing it. We want to continue bringing these stories. So what we're asking is, at the little bottom, the ticker at the bottom right there that's going, choose your place to donate. All we're asking for is $1. That's it. Just $1. You can hit us up at PayPal, you can hit us up at Cash App, or you can hit us at Venmo. Now, if you want to give more than $1, I am not going to tell you no. I am not going to put it back in your hands. We will gladly take it, and we will make these comic books. If you want to donate by buying products, I have a great place where you can go get our comic books. It's my publisher because they're pretty dang awesome. Why don't you learn a little bit about Short Fuse Media Group? So, yes, shortfusemediagroup.com. There's this thing that they always say that we do. Deliver. We always deliver. We make it happen. You're going to get your books. If you buy the physical copies of the books, you will get the digital copies of the book for free. That's a great deal. Or if you just want to get the books now because you want to get caught up on the panels for tonight, because we're going in on Hot Shot, we're going in on Vigilance. We're going to tell you all the new hotness that we got cooking up. Actually, where's our checklist at? No, you're fine. We gotta get comfortable for this day. 1, 2, 3. Hold up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got 9 titles that we're going to be giving you updates on and announcing. More than half of that's new. Half of that's done. It's just sitting in the holster. Bang, bang, bang. That's all we're doing. We're just waiting. Biding our time. But you're gonna find out about that tonight. All right, I think I have. Yes, I have wasted enough time. We're about to get ready to roll into our next panel. Be sure to donate. The ticker's right there. Let me see. Who is our host here that we got for this panel? Oh, that's D Coop. D Coop's hosting. So I'm gonna get off the chair and let D Coop get in there. Let's roll with why we're here today to help us make comic books. Let's check. Hold up, Danny. I'm sorry. Let's check on our panelists real quick.
Right, we're missing a few.
We're missing a few, so we're gonna give them a little bit of time. We're gonna check on our callers. Everybody's here. They're still by the phones, everybody. They're still taking emails. They're still here. Oprah, she's been happy this whole day. She must be giving everybody comics, everybody. Yeah. All right, so we're good. We're good. Everyone's still hard at work. They're there taking your donations. Please, let's give these people, let's continue to give these people something to do, and let's get ready to roll into our very next panel happening now.
Hey guys, welcome. Thanks for joining us on our next panel, Making a Story Flow. We're actually still waiting on a few people to join us. Mike is making a lot of noise over in the other room. Hopefully you don't hear that. The guests we do have so far that are going to be on. So first we've got Ted Sikora with us, owner of Heroes Tomorrow Studios, creator of Apama, Tap Dance Killer, and his latest title, Punchline, which is live on Kickstarter now and funded, I believe, within 24 hours. Did I leave anything out, Ted?
That's perfect. Thank you.
All right, no problem. All right, we've also got Mr. Victor Dandridge with us, hardest working man in comics, owner, creator, writer of Vantage In-House Productions, the mastermind behind You Create Comics, and I like to call him the architect of the FSK universe.
Thank you. That was everything, man.
Everything. All right. And then we got Robert Jeffrey with us right now. EIC for Black Sci-Fi, writer and creator of the comic Route 3, and also a member of the DC Comics New Talent Showcase in 2018. Robert, did I leave anything out for you, sir?
No, actually that was perfect. Thanks for having me on.
All right, no problem. All right, so we are also waiting on, let's see, we're waiting on a few other people, but right now we got Daniel Calvin with us, writer for American Dreams, published under Alignment Studios, part of Short Fuse Media Group. Welcome, Daniel. Anything else that I leave out there?
Not yet, but there's some things in the being done. But that idea now.
All right, so we will have LaShawn Colvin join us. So once she joins in, we'll give her the rundown and intro. And I believe we're still waiting. Greg, we got Greg backstage. Let me get Greg in here as well. There we go. So we got Greg Burnham joining us, writer of the acclaimed Tuskegee Airs, and he's also on his final day of his Kickstarter for Sadiqa, or the search for Sadiqa. Greg, anything else that you want to throw in there?
Yeah. Nah, that's good, I think.
All right, sounds good. We'll go ahead and get started. So this is the panel for making a story flow. So I think the first thing we start with is what's your approach for taking an idea and turning that into a story? And I will start with you.
Who you start with? I didn't catch that.
We're going to start with Ted.
Oh, I didn't hear that either. How do we start with an idea to, from inception?
Yeah.
I think for me, I have a ton of ideas. Anytime I have an idea of any kind, I make sure I write it down. So I've got an app that I can just keep my ideas in, or if, it's next to my bed, there'll be something to write with. But it's just compiling ideas, lines of dialogue, anything that I hear that's kind of a clever turn of a phrase that I don't think I've heard, before. I just try to keep that kind of stuff handy. So then when it is time to flesh out an idea, there's usually a lot there to mine through. And it's like, at what point do you feel like you have a really solid idea that's really worth, putting it into a comic, and that's just, for me, one of those ideas just starts to pull at me. And I feel like this is the story I have to tell right now. And it's the right time for it. And there's just too many ideas bursting. So, it's just compiling ideas in that interim stage.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go left to right on my screen here. So Daniel, same question to you, sir.
I pretty much do a lot like what Ted does. I usually open up a Google Doc of a master list. I also have like shorter idea segments to expand on ideas, or just if I don't want to open up a master list, I just start a new document for the new idea. Like the other day I thought of what if I did like a Marx Brothers inspired comic? And so I started up a small little sheet for that, and so on and so forth. Okay. And then if I want to go more full bore into that idea, I'll start doing more notes. For example, for one project I've been slowly working on, I have 10 or more pages of notes on that one alone.
Okay.
Those are random little ideas.
Okay. So Greg, over to you.
Similar to what Ted said, I have a bajillion ideas in my head, and I'm always coming up with new ones. One of the things I'll do is I'll stop. If I really like it, I'll stop what I'm doing. And like Daniel said, Google Doc is my new, go-to for pretty much everything. So I'll just create an outline, drop the characters in, and then usually I let stuff sit for a couple of days or sometimes a week, because I'm my worst critic, I think. So I've come back so many times and been like, yeah, that idea is crap. I don't want to do anything with it. Or maybe even it's not anything that I'm passionate, I'm, really passionate about. So I'll be like, yeah, that could be something one day if I'm selling ideas to somebody. But the stuff that I really drive and work on, it's I'll let it sit for a week or two and then come back. And if I'm still excited about it at that point, then I'll, jump on into it. I think that was me.
Okay. All right. Robert, how about you?
So, I'm pretty much piggybacking off of what everybody else has said. One of the things, though, that I've been using a lot, which is kind of weird, is an app on my phone called, I was just had to look at my phone to make sure. It's called Quick Memo. So it's just a notepad, a basic notepad, and for some reason I just keep going back and just adding more notes and adding more notes. I definitely do utilize Google Documents, but also I ordered like a 5-pack of notepads, from Amazon for like very cheap, and because of the client work or the personal projects, I kind of delegated one book to each project. So whenever I have an idea or notes that I want to get out there, I have one specific place that I can put those notes in. Because what I was finding was I kept going to like CVS or Walgreens and picking up just steno notebooks and putting all the same ideas in the same book, and that was driving me crazy. So I had to kind of delegate separate projects into separate books, and it's worked out so far. It doesn't seem as much of a cluttered mess as it was before. So
yeah, I've actually noticed that sometimes I feel like it's easier or for me to put pencil to paper and actually take notes by hand. Versus trying to do it digitally. I'm still trying to adjust to that myself and move to more of a digital, because I lose my notes. I can't figure out which notebook it was in or something like that. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right. So Victor, obviously we go way back, and seen tons of your handwritten notes over the years and story ideas that I'm still waiting to see come to the light of day. But what's your current process? Your process in the past?
So yes, I definitely feel attacked by that statement, as well as Robert's. No, the funny thing is that most of my storytelling process was developed in a really weird way. Like we used to do family trips when I was a kid, so I would have to run a lot of ideas in my head and just kind of keep them there, and that's kind of something that's carried over. So I don't, even if I have an idea, I kind of put it in the back of my head, and if I remember it, then it's a worthy idea. If I don't remember it, then I don't care. It's a story loss because it wasn't interesting enough for me to hold on to. So then I figure like nobody would really care. So I'm sure I've probably lost a ton of stories that way. But at the same time, I'm like, they were trash because I didn't remember them. At this point, though, what I do is, I've got literally, like, this is why I feel attacked, Robert. I'm looking at a stack of notes, random sheets of paper, that have a bunch of different story ideas in there that I've had over the years. And, what will happen is I'll have that concept, want to, see where it goes, and I'll noodle some notes down, put some things together like that. And then if, I get that urge to write that thing, see, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's beautiful. Like, notepads are sexy to me. Like, that's writer porn to me. But yeah, if I get an inspiration for an idea, I will run with it. And like everybody else, I'm moving into digital writing. So on my phone, I use the iPhone Notes, and I also use Google Docs to write everything. So even when we're on the go, we're still creating. Absolutely.
All right. So moving on to the next question, which Daniel, I'm going to save you for last. Hopefully, LaShawn will be here with us for this one. But the question is, do you work with an editor? And I'd like to know why or why not. And if you do use an editor, what's that impact been to your creative process? So we'll start in reverse order. So Victor, we'll go with you first.
Ironically, no, not officially do I work with an editor. What I work with are some hard-nosed fellow creators that will tell me if something is crap. They will absolutely do so. My three brothers, Danny, of course, is one of them. But actually, the hardest person that I try to impress with my writing is my lady, Adriana. She is not a comic book fan at all. So when I give her something, she is the rawest when it comes to breaking down whether or not she liked it, whether or not it made sense, because this is not a medium that she automatically has any affinity for. So I am able to really get, as long as we can understand what we're going for and saying, I get some hardcore great critiques from her in that regard.
All right. Robert, over to you.
So once again, piggybacking off of Victor, it seems like first and foremost, my editor is my wife. So she is, and it's for the same reason. She's not a huge comic book head. She's more into anime, but I kind of gauge her reaction to see if things are flowing. But since I started doing comics back in 06 or 07, I've always had an editor. So for me, even if I'm working on a project where it's something I'm doing personally, I have people like, always, give shout outs, John Robert McGuire and Greg Anderson Elisi. And they are kind of go-to people to check out my work, to because for me it's I have to have like a second or third pair of eyes, on my work, because otherwise it might come out like a hot mess or whatever, or maybe not a hot mess, but I just want to make sure that I'm getting the best work out there. And if you're just doing that with your eyes only, I think you're doing a disservice to the story. So,
okay, good point. Greg, how about you?
For the most part, I am the editor. I yell at myself a lot, but I do. So with Tuskegee Airs, I do it with Marcus Williams, and we are kind of like checking each other as we go. The other stuff, the search for Sadaka and other stuff that I'm working on, I just fine tooth comb like everything, like even before I start writing it, to make sure continuity and make sure, the story is flowing well. That's a segue into the panel we're on right now. But I do have a couple of mean ladies that are really, really smart, that are friends of mine, that I'll actually run, like final scripts by. Sometimes, mostly final, because I know there's a lot of people, and I tell people this all the time, like if you're going to certain people that are editing and they're putting their emotion into it, then they can end up like altering what you really were trying to get done with your story. Sometimes we know what we want to do, right? We know we want it to be said this way instead of that way. Mm-hmm. We know that we want to create, maybe make the reader a little bit mad right here, so later on the reader, there's a payoff for it. So you got to be careful. If you have like a really real professional editor that's just objective, that's really cool. But I haven't found one of those yet, so we just kind of battle it out ourselves.
Yeah, Greg, I'll say that's being the editor for the FSK books, I'll definitely say that's finding that balance of being objective and not having a better idea of how to do something, but just trying to edit the story that's been presented. And to one of the points you made, Victor, I know that you and Mike, going way back with the first story arc on Hot Shot, you guys coming to odds over, you wanted to tell something with Carla in Hot Shot specifically, and you guys were at odds over that.
No, that's being polite. We weren't at odds. We were literally about to fight about it.
Sure.
We were, literally Danny had to come between us.
Yeah. Yeah, I was there and got between, so it's no joke.
But I was right, though, okay? Carla is a B word. That's all I'm saying.
All right, so same question to you, Ted. What are your thoughts?
Well, my background was film, and I spent a lot of time actually. It's a different kind of editing, but editing, and I do a lot of documentary work. And often you're getting an hour's worth of material, and you're boiling it down to like the best 3 minutes. So that's kind of just ingrained in me. So I don't really work with a traditional editor, but I do feel like some of my background has helped me with that. However, I was introduced by Henri Compton to Jim Salicrup at New York Comic Con. I met him on a Saturday, gave him a copy of our Apama book. And the next day, Sunday, he came down and sat with me for an hour. Now, Jim Salicrup, he worked under Stan Lee for years and years. And he gave me the Marvel critique. And it was the best, to this day, the best hour of education I've ever had in my life. So what he'll do now for me is he will check out my stuff. When I have a book ready to go, he looks at it and he'll shoot me some notes. And it is the most wonderful thing. Now, there's about 5 to 8 people that I will show a book before it's done to get their take on it. And they're coming from very diverse places. I'm not trying to just find fans of our stuff. I really, when I hand somebody something to read, I say, look, hammer me. You aren't going to hurt my feelings. I would much rather, get scolded or whatever right now than to put it out there and have a big mistake in it or something. The other person I have to call out is my daughter. She's 13, but she's a very gifted writer. And she'll give me a whole different point of view. And in fact, the book we're doing right now, I struggled with the title. I was going to call it Punchline. I was going to call it The Vaudevillains. Punchline, The Vaudevillain. And she's like, but it's about all these characters in the team. So that's Punchline and The Vaudevillains. And that was her title. So, it's just, I think shout out Jada. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I think having the people around you, the creatives, or people that you can rely on and trust their word, not to tell you what you want to hear in the sense that they love it blindly, but giving you that harsh feedback. I know for us, it went from me stepping into the editor role for FSK, and then our lead colorist, Ms. Veronica Smith, sitting here right here next to me, eventually saying, you know what, you're our associate editor. Like, we trust your word so much in what we're doing, and it's critical to our success. So absolutely, I think that seems to be a consistent thing that for which each of you is having someone that you can trust and rely on, that they're going to tell you brutal honesty to help make your product the best it can be. So Daniel, I know LaShawn's not on with us, and I know that you can speak to what it's like having LaShawn as your editor. And I believe you had the first issue of American Dreams. I think you had actually written without LaShawn. So what's it been like working with that?
It's actually, I wrote the first 3.5 without LaShawn. I think I had 4 mostly done, and we were in the process of drawing it, and she would be taking my script, and she'd be like, "No, fix this." Because I'd be hitting those notes over to my artist.
Okay.
This is like already in the middle of the process, and so when we were coloring it, because it was being colored, he's like, "She was sending me notes because I would miss things," just in my utter glee of getting the page in. It's like, "Daniel, you have to tell your colorist this, and this." And then when we were doing the whole chat and draw, when we were doing the Kickstarter for issue 3, I already had planned out a whole new arc 2 in my head, like what I wanted to do, and I actually wrote out a further 6 more arcs I wanted to do. And then she said something in the talk saying, "Oh, you would like to see more diversity from Daniel's cast." So I'm like, "Okay, arc 2 original idea, you're getting the back seat because I want to do it." Because she's right, I need to add more diversity. Even though it's another time period, it needs to reflect how diverse New York was then as it is now. So it was arc 2, it's now going to be arc 3, and this new arc 2 is going to be coming in. So so she's definitely making me the best I can be.
That's awesome. Absolutely. And I think that's a perfect segue. So to the next question. So, with Vigilance #2, we actually had a complete book when I stepped in. I ran through the letters, and I stepped in as the editor. And, I sat down with Mike, and we had a conversation like, this can be better than what we have right now. So what has been your experience? Have you ever had a finished product or close to finished product where you've had to go through and make changes based on the feedback you've been given, whether it's from an editor or those that you trust for that feedback? Now, Ted, I know that you've said that the same thing as Victor. You like to letter your own books, so that gives you the chance to kind of edit on the fly. But overall, what's been your experience in having to make changes throughout that creative process?
Fortunately, there hasn't been big, like, we got to redo the whole second half of the book kind of thing. But yeah, I tell everybody, and not to put any letterers out of work, but if you're a writer doing your own lettering, what happens in my process is I'll get a rough layout from the artist, but I immediately drop that into Illustrator and I put my first draft of the letters on that. And then we realize where we have space, where things have to move. Next time I get the pencils, it drops right in that same file, and the letters are already still there from my previous pass. And now I'm like, oh, I don't like what this character's saying. I'm going to fix that. Or, then the inks come, then the colors come. Every time I see it with the letters, and every time it probably gets changed, and it gets better and better. I don't feel like I'm a person who can just whoop out a perfect script. Like, that's not my process. And I sometimes even feel weird calling myself a writer, because on the one hand, I can't do that. On the other hand, I do so much more than just a writer, because I'm involved with the layouts and all this other stuff. So it's kind of it's a weird process that kind of it sounds like Victor's doing something very similar. And this I think we all have blind spots, and the more chances and the more time we can put between our iterations, the better.
Absolutely. Daniel, you mentioned, being, I think, on the 3rd issue of American Dreams and started getting feedback from LaShawn and definitely having to go back and make adjustments. So it sounds like you've had some of that. What's been your experience?
Well, I know that with the first issue of American Dreams, one of the big feedbacks I got for that was it's too talky. Like, it's too much dialogue, it's covering up the artwork. So I know for issue 2, I personally went through the script for a lettering script, and I was like cutting to the page. So I don't know, this could fit here, but I have to take out this and just rewrite this so make the same idea, more compact.
Right.
And then I know that and I've had to do a couple adjustments, I think, for 3 and now for 4. And I know for 5, me and LaShawn are really going to be going together to look at the script as we go through it for lettering, as you know, when we get past the coloring stage.
Great. All right. So Greg, same question to you.
So I haven't had that issue as much with my books. Right now, I'm editing and assisting on writing for my brother's book that we're working on. And so we keep having issues with artists. And so we kind of scrapped it and we're going back from the beginning. We're having Marcus do the rough pencils. And so they showed me the book, a week ago. And I was like, okay, this is cool. But I mean, we could, I kind of like what you said, we can make this way more dope than it is right now, just by switching up, switching how we tell the story, how the pacing goes in the book. You only have a certain amount of pages, and I always try to get people to, whether you're a writer or an artist, to, when you're planning this out, to think like a reader, right? To think to engage someone, but don't give them everything in one spot, kind of string it out and keep it suspenseful. So I was I'm trying to get my brother, because my brother is my younger brother, and he's really excited to be working on this. And I'm trying to tell him, I'm not trying to change your idea at all. I don't want to change anything about the idea. So if I ever get to a point where I'm crossing that line or stepping on that line, feel free to tell me to shut up. And, you're going to, you got the final say. I'm just going to offer you. And so when I sat down with them, they heard what I had to say, and they were like, oh, yeah. And so now the story flows better. And that's what I, try to do. I haven't had that issue because, it takes some time to get these books done. So it's you can kind of change things on the fly. That last bit, for the last issue of Tuskegee Airs, I was able to sit, with Marcus while, Marcus did the lettering, but I was able to sit there with him. So we're, kind of like Ted said, you're switching little things right there at the end. But yeah, I guess that's my experience overall. And I don't want to talk forever. So.
It's funny you say that. I know Mike and I, we've sat down and had late night editing sessions where we've got the book in front of us, the pages. We're going through and we're making, we've got letter pages. We're making changes on the fly right there. You know what? Let's reword this. With him writing Hotshot, that gives us that flexibility to do that. But we've done that with all of the titles, making sure that whether we're the writer or the artist on that, we want to make sure we're putting together and putting out the best product possible. Robert, over to you. Same question.
Oh, sorry about that. So I can use an example of a book that's currently, it should be out this month, called The Crossing. So Sean Hill is a co-creator on that book, and he's the artist. And one of the things that we noticed is when we started to get some of the pages back, that they weren't aligning with the script as far as the dialogue. And Sean Hill, if you don't know him, I'll just go ahead and say he's one of the best comic book artists in the game right now. So with him being co-creator on the book, it was really cool to see him take the script and put his interpretation on, what the pages should look like or brought to life. So what we've had to do is kind of adjust the lettering. And Loris Ravina, who's the letterer on Mind to Avenge, has been able to do that perfectly. So one of the things that I love about the creative process is that everybody can come together and not be full of themselves. As long as the end result is that you're telling the best story possible, then that, we get something that's beautiful. So I know there are probably folks who would have looked at the pages and would have been like, grumble, 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 go back to what it was before. But I look at those pages and I'm like, Sean, just keep doing what you're doing. So, and I trust in him because, and that's another part of this process that I think a lot of people, come to realize is that, Sean is going back as far as Route 3. And a lot of the success of that book is because of him. So, so I trust in my creative brother from another mother, to add, to change things up enough. But we'll just go back and just work it, with the lettering later on. So, but that's been a good experiance.
All right, sounds
So
good. So we've got LaShawn is with us. So LaShawn, I'm gonna go ahead and add you in, and then we'll let you answer the very first, come up first for the next question. But I'm gonna add you into the stream now. And Victor, we're gonna bring over to you. Last person, I saw you grab your copy of Never Too Late.
Yeah, buddy.
But I'll let you go ahead and share your perspective.
So, Never Too Late, #1, the sequel to The Trouble with Love, was done. Like, when I say done, we're talking like drawn, colored, lettered, the whole nine. And my pal Jim O'Hara, who has a background at Miller World, he read it and was like, nah, I'm not feeling it. And you talk about a gut sinking feeling because you're ready to send this off to print, and you've got somebody that's like, nah, I'm not, the flow, it's not there. So I literally printed out the entire book because per his recommendation, I could nix out 4 different pages, start over on a couple of things, and obviously from an independent creator standpoint, we can't afford to do that. So what I did was printed out all the pages and spread them out literally in my office floor. Like this whole space had pages on it, and I'm grouping things together, rearranging scenes based on some of the notes that he gave, and was able to restructure the story in a way that became far more compelling. He was absolutely right. And I only had to ditch 1 page. And upon sending it back to him and getting his feedback, he's like, this is a whole new story. Like, I want to read this story now. And I'm like, well, woo, it's actually the same story. But that was one of those things where, you have to realize that just because you did it doesn't make it right. That's a hard one for some folks. If you're award winning, accoladed up, just because you did it does not mean it's the right way for it to go. So that was a great lesson for me, and I was so glad to be open and receptive to it.
No, Vic, I'll say that, when you told me that you had to kind of not go back to the drawing board, but you were making changes, and I felt honored when you compared it to the work we did with Visual.
100%. Yeah.
A lot, definitely.
Yeah, because I saw what you guys did, and you were the inspiration for how I was going to solve this problem of needing to change it, but not being able to afford to redo everything.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing when you can, just do that with letters and maybe moving the order of the pages around and making sure that flow is better. Yeah, absolutely. So I mentioned LaShawn is with us. So LaShawn is one of the EICs under Short Fuse Media Group. She's currently editing Emerald Quest, and she is the creator of Beautiful Soldiers, which I know is the much anticipated book. We're still waiting. Hopefully we'll see that relatively soon. That book looks amazing. She is also the editor over Daniel Calvin's
American Dreams.
There we go. Thank you. And also owner of the new Comics and Geeks, a beverage lounge in Montgomery, Alabama. Did I miss anything there?
Thank you. I'm sorry I'm late. Like, I had the time mixed up. I thought it was 4:15 my time, but Mike ass ain't tell me that it was 4:15 his time.
Yeah, it's your fault.
I'll take my clap back.
Mike thinks that everybody lives in Eastern Standard Time. So, okay.
Right.
All right, so
Danny, tell Mike I blame his ass. Tell him.
Understood.
I'm taking half my clap back.
All right, moving on to our next question. Sean, we'll start with you on this one. So, earlier today, Mike mentioned that we have 16 titles under FSK. We've got 9 new titles in production. I know from my perspective, I've got books with Post-it notes, making sure that we're being respectful to our own continuity. So what has your experience been like in producing multi-issue stories? Is it easier to release in issue form? LaShawn, I know you're going with a graphic novel for Beautiful Soldiers. What's your experience been like, and how do you prefer to do that writing? So we'll start with you, LaShawn.
Okay, that's a good question. So basically, when I first started Beautiful Soldiers, it was a comic. But over the years, the indie life can be tough, financing everything yourself. So right when I got ready to finish my first chapter and I was ready finally to like release it after 5, 6, 7 years, Sean Matt called me and we were talking, and yes, Sean, I blame you too. uh, Sean was like, well, you didn't build up all this hype, on your book, and you did took all this time. You can't release no floppy book. And I said, oh hell. So, but it was one of the best advice he gave me, because when I made it become a graphic novel, I was able to like put so much story development and character development in my book and make it be the presentation that I wanted it to be, that I probably wouldn't have gotten if I did it as a comic.
Okay. Great. So Victor,
So, if I can say, well, the differences though that I have noticed though, for me the biggest thing is the money wise. Like I was already at the top point when it was a comic, so you can just imagine what it is now.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. So LaShawn, on the flip side, being the editor for the ongoing series American Dreams, what's that experience like? Kind of coming into where we've already got several issues published, and now you're helping to work with the new issues as they're in development.
Well, coming in, because Daniel was already doing so well on his book before I even joined, but now that I am his editor, I see things that he don't see, because I critique a little bit more than he would, and he has one thing that I see that he shines a light in is fight scenes. Like Daniel is such a good. It's hard to write a good fight scene, and I don't see a lot of writers be able to pull that off, very easily, because it's not something easy. It ain't like you doing a movie. You gotta do still page fights, and he shines on that perfectly. And I very rarely have to ask him to change any of that. But one of the things that I saw a problem with is the diversity in his book. And I was watching you guys when I was on the way here, and going back to what Daniel said about when I told him about going into his second arc, I'm like, well, we in the middle of a revolution right now. So I think you need to, jump on this. You call Liberty, the main character, American Dreams. And we've always seen, typically they represent America as a white man. I said, okay, well, we're in a revolution now, so you're going to have to capitalize on this and change some stuff up. I said some other words, but I'm trying to make it.
Thanks, LaShawn. And I think it would be fair to to transition Daniel over to you and and follow up with that. Your experience. I know again you've got 3 issues. What's it been like now working on the following issues? I know you said you've made some changes. You took your second act and you're pushing that back to the third to bring in some of that diversity.
Well, second arc. Second arc is we're already too deep into the first arc to do it. Do that to really put them in. But yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like, you're right. This is New York City, 1900. You need this diversity in general, because and also Lower East Side. You're right next to Chinatown. So where's the Asian character?
Also, Daniel, is well that we both can agree on is that your book is a time period. So, I think seeing the story perspective of seeing some minority superheroes or characters in your book during that time would be really nice to read as well. So that's another conversation we talked about.
Yep, and the other issue, because again it's a period piece, I have to go, wait, would these people be here or there in 1900? Like, where exactly would they roughly be? I mean, I can fudge it a little bit for historical figures, but like, I can't say like a character who's going to appear in issue 5. I'm not saying who yet. I had to figure out where he was, because I thought, oh, he's going to be here. No, wait, he's not there. He would be here. If I'm like, no, he would be here because of something he was doing for here. and I can't say who yet, but it's one of those things where I have to say, oh my God, where are these people supposed to be in 1900 versus 1901 or 1899?
Right.
And then another question you also have to ask yourself is, you know, if you were living back in that day and you are, you know, and you're not a minority and you see an Asian character, an Asian superhero saving somebody, or you see a black person saving somebody, and you're white, you know, how would you react to that? How would you feel during that time period seeing something like that? You know, and that's the stuff that I told Daniel that he's going to have to show, like. Are they going to be happy that they just got saved by a black guy, or are they going to be like, no, whatever?
And there are plans to address that when we finally get to that issue. Once this arc is like, that's going to be the first issue of our arc 2.
Right.
Because we're right now really rollicking in towards the end of the first arc of arc 5, of issue 5. Ugh. Too many arcs, too many issues. History, Daniel.
All right, so moving over to Victor, I know that you're building out, your own universe, 10 years under Vantage in-house productions. Got your fingerprints all over what we're doing over here at FSKDAY, the first story arc. What's it like for you, being flexible with whether it's an 8-page story, a full traditional 22 pages of a comic, or kind of a maxi series? What do you prefer? Writing in single issues, coming back through and writing the whole story up front?
I think whatever, like the way the inspiration kind of rides is the smartest way to answer that. Being versatile to be able to jump in on however you need to tell a story is important, but how you utilize those skills is everything. So obviously with the Samaritan, Origins Unknown, Wonder Care, I'm specializing in 8-page stories. With The Trouble with Love, it's longer. And as you said, that's how I started writing at Freestyle, was longer format stories. So I'm versatile in all of it, and how you can, really kind of play it out is what the plan is for the second issue of Zero Vent. I won't say anything else because I don't know if I'm supposed to or not, but utilizing some of the short story telling skills that I have as how I approach that second issue. So I can't say that there's a preference, just you got to have that versatility so that you can do some interesting things that make things fun for the readers, no matter what.
Right, absolutely. I can speak to that on the FSK side. Stepping into Heroes International, finishing up a 3-part story arc. We've already got that first issue. To knowing that we've got 100 issues plotted with Hotshot in all of our titles, so we've got a lot of different ways that we're approaching it. Robert, same question to you.
So I'm trying to think. I'm kind of piggybacking off of Victor, but what I'm finding is that the stories that I'm currently telling are normally for like 6-issue arcs, and because as an indie creator, sometimes you're surprised if you get past 1 issue. So I learned not to get my hopes up too high. I was very pessimistic at the beginning, and that's gotten better as I've gotten kind of deeper into the game. But strangely enough, there's a story next year that I've started putting pen to paper, which is like a huge space opera, and this is not going to be contained to just 6 issues. So that I think has forced me to, get out of my pessimism or whatever, and just try to, grow broader when it comes to plotting out these stories. So that's but yeah, that's normally like 6 issues will be it. We'll see how the trade hits, and just keep taking notes. I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to be more optimistic, but it's I've been kind of burnt the past few years. Let's just leave it at that.
All right. So, Greg, with us, Sonic, we have had issue 0. We've got issue 1 right now. I'm still on Kickstarter for today. Do you have an issue 2 plotted out? Where are we taking that story, and kind of what's your overall approach?
Oh yeah, for Sonica, I have like the first arc is kind of what Robert said, 6 issues, but I have like 3 arcs ready to go. So it's kind of like, you're just taking that one in stride. I recently was asked to do the this Nor is the New Black. It's a it's a graphic novel with a bunch of different creators, and we're just doing like 6 pages there. So I created another story, and it was fun, and it was only 6 pages. So I'm like, but I basically created a new title that I can. It's kind of like the introduction to, and I was thinking about actually doing that as like a webcomic. So I like what Victor said, like just being versatile. I think we're storytellers, and so we can tell it any way that it needs to be done. I got away from writing, like even with prose, like I really write short stories. I don't write a lot of the super long just because I'm lazy, maybe. I'm working on a movie script right now, and that's like, oh, it's so long. But yeah, just trying to figure, tell the story the way it needs to be told. So Tuskegee Airs is the same way. We have like arcs upon arcs that we're going to hopefully be able to release as we go. Yeah, so anyway, I think I like to do floppies and do around 30 pages an issue, and then when you get like 3 of them, you can go ahead and bind it. So that's normally the strategy, is to get about 30 pages and move to the next episode.
Okay. All right, so Ted, same question to you. I know that you've kind of built out, you've grown your own universe with your characters. So what is your experience? Do you prefer doing those single issues? Do you write out everything up front and then start releasing them?
We do like, I'm a huge fan of Milo Miller also, who, started this with me. We love Bronze Age Marvel. Like that's kind of what we wanted to recreate, sort of a modern take on that. So it was very, awesome episodic kind of short stories with these covers that have the story on the cover. I love that kind of a thing. So we like making the episodes, but we do think about them in terms of like 5-issue arcs that we can then, sell. We do a Kickstarter for the trade. And in terms of the overall thing, I feel like the analogy I like is that it's like a cross-country trip that you're taking your car across the country. Yeah, redundant there. And but you're not taking any highways. Okay, so you're taking all these little cities, these little villages, and if something looks cool along the way, we're going to stop and we're going to explore. We're going to check out, the diners. We're going to check into the motel. And that's really how like our second series, Tap Dance Killer, came about. It was like we had this arc that was going forward with Apama, but then I just, all of a sudden I was working on a documentary about a theater troupe in Cleveland. And I just said to Milo, wouldn't it be funny if our superhero just got so burned out because Apama, kind of everything goes wrong for him. What if he just gets burned out, wants to be join a theater troupe? Somebody flirts with him and tells him to audition. And that just spun all these crazy ideas. And it's one of the stories I'm most proud of. And then the Tap Dance Killer, she was more popular than Apama. And it was very clear at New York Comic Con, people just kept asking about this character, and it was like, I decided then that I'm going to try to spin her off and see how that goes. And I'm so glad, Apama still continues forward, but now I've got this other Tap Dance Killer series. And then Punchline, he was originally several years ago, I thought, man, a heavyweight boxer who becomes a super powered murderous clown named Punchline. This would be a perfect villain for Apama. But it was one of those ideas that, as I mentioned earlier, it was just always sort of sitting there. And then when Tap Dance Killer got her own series, I'm like, oh, this is the perfect place to introduce that guy, because of the technology of the people around her. They can do this experiment on this boxer and he becomes this character. Now in Punchline, he is going to battle Apama. So I didn't have any of that planned going back, but yet I still know where I want all this to end up. How long it takes to get there, who knows?
Right. Great. Well, guys, we are out of time, actually, and I want to thank all of you for joining us. I could ask more questions, even than what I have on the page. We're going to please make sure that you drop your links and social media contact information in the chat. I know, Ted, you've got a Kickstarter you just launched. You're on your last day of your Kickstarter. So please make sure you get that link in there for us so we can share that with our audience. I want to thank everyone for being on here with us. Mike, did you have anything for closing out as well?
Y'all the best, man. Y'all the best. Fan all your work. Love all y'all stuff. You know, I've either copped it or I've donated to a Kickstarter or I've worked on stuff with y'all. I just think y'all all super dope. And thank you so much for coming out here to support Freestyle Comics. And to our audience, go get their stuff. Cop now. Run them ducats.
That was so thug for no reason.
All right, guys, thank you again. Please, stay tuned and watch the rest of the shows, and we're going to be moving on to our next panel here really soon.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
See you guys.
Awesome. All right, so what we got going on right now is we're going to change panel rooms again. We're coming up on the 4-hour recording limit on StreamYard. So I want to make sure we don't miss anything. And our next panel is going to be like 45 minutes. So what we're going to do is, we're going to talk a little bit more. I'm going to kill a little bit of time here. Oh, well, not that much time. Let me see. J-Man's doing an FSK chant that he told us he was going to do. That's what's up. Yeah. Keep it up. All right, so we got our next panel that's coming up, and it is, what's that? We just did Making a Story Flow. We did VIPs of Self-Publishing. We're doing VIPs of Self-Publishing next. All right. Awesome. This is going to be a great panel. Victor Danger's is going to come back to host this one or whatnot. I'm going to close out with, let's see here. Let me grab that. All right, there we go. All right, I sent the new links to everybody. We got a couple minutes. Look.
Is that the new one?
What?
Are you already in the new one?
I'm not in the new one. I just posted
Okay.
it. All right, so I want you guys to go buy comic books. We're also looking for you guys to do donations. You can donate at the little ticker at the bottom right there that's the PayPal, that's the Cash App, that's the Venmo. We want $1. That's it. You can send more if you want. I'm not going to turn away more money. But we're at the end of the stream, we're just asking for $1 at the bare minimum. We have comics for sale. We've been putting the links into the comments so you guys can go there. We've got exclusive t-shirts for sale today. We're putting those in the links. We got exclusive prints today that we're selling $10 a print. There's the Hot Shot one. Here's the Vigilance one. And Veronica's almost done with the Venomized Hot Shot one that I'll be posting as soon as she gets finished, and we'll make that one available today as well. But, all right, everybody, so this is what we're going to do. Don't leave your computer, iPad, phone area. Stay right where you are. I'm going to close this room, and I'm going to bring the room back up. The link is already on the Facebook page. It's already on Twitch. It's already on YouTube. It's already there, okay? But I want to make sure we get all the awesomeness recorded. Let me see here. And Ted got his Kickstarter in there. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Let me get it in here real quick as a closeout. There we go. And, all right, so I'll see y'all in a little bit. We're about to get it popping again. Because that's what we do. That's what we're doing all day today. Popping.